$3 million money to settle a whistleblower lawsuit.
Put it back. I still got to eat.
Mr. Paxton would not answer any questions about the underlying claims. He had successfully blocked any discovery in the case for almost 2 years, and he refused to justify the settlement. The House investigated the serious allegations raised by the whistleblowers. The House uncovered egregious misconduct and abuse of office by the Attorney General of the state of Texas and voted overwhelmingly to prefer articles of impeachment to the Senate. This is why we are here. The allegations in the articles reveal that the state's top lawyer engaged in conduct designed to advance the economic interests and legal positions of a friend and donor to the detriment of innocent Texans. Mr. Paxton turned the keys of the Office of Attorney General over to Nate Paul so that Mr. Paul could use the awesome power of the People's Law Firm to punish and harass perceived enemies. I was raised in rural Texas, where a person's honor is more important than money, where integrity matters, by a family deeply affected by political corruption. This is precisely the type of grave official wrong that our Texas Supreme Court has said warrants impeachment. My grandfather, who was privileged to serve the state of Texas for many years, had a favorite quote from Abraham Lincoln. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you really want to test a man's character, give him power. Mr. Paxton has been entrusted with great power. Unfortunately, rather than rise to the occasion, he has revealed his true character. And as the overwhelming evidence will show, he is not fit to be the Attorney General for the state of Texas. Mr. Paxton argues that the Senate should not exercise its constitutional duty to decide whether his conduct merits impeachment because voters were aware of the allegations and still reelected him. He claims that the Senate should abide by the alleged will of the voters. However, this ignores the intent of our framers of the Constitution. Impeachment was included in the Constitution after the Founding Fathers debated and rejected the idea that elections could singularly protect the public against abusive office holders. In other words, drafters agreed that impeachment was and is necessary to protect against abusive officials because it was simply too easy for them to use the powers of their office to conceal the truth until after the next election. The concept of the forgiveness doctrine is not in our Constitution and does not apply here. The courts have made that very clear. And even if it did, the doctrine presumes that voters know all the facts. The voters did not and do not know the whole truth. Mr. Paxton went to great lengths to hide his misconduct from the public. The evidence will show that he used massive resources of his office to prepare and issue a sham report that allegedly exonerated him. The evidence will show that this report contains false and misleading information about the allegations against him and about the whistleblowers themselves. And he also lied about the independent nature of this investigation. Documents will show that he played a key role in drafting that report. The Constitution says the Senate has the power and the duty to decide this case and to protect the people of Texas from someone who has violated his oath and has shown he does not respect the law. The witnesses and the evidence will show you that Mr. Paxton's conduct merits the exercise of that power. And the witnesses and the evidence will show
I love it.
beyond a reasonable doubt
Yes,
that he
I
should be
love it.
removed from office and prevented from ever holding a position of trust in the state of Texas again. Mr. Paxton argues that the articles do not allege impeachable conduct because they do not allege that he committed a crime. We do allege that he committed crimes. We have detailed that Mr. Paxton received favors, including home renovations and help in concealing and continuing an extramarital affair, in
For
exchange for
years
the
and
office of
years,
Attorney
Marie.
General punishing Nate Paul's enemies. However, we don't have to show some type of quid pro quo to establish that his conduct should result in impeachment. As the Texas Supreme Court made clear regarding the impeachment of Governor Ferguson 106 years ago, wrongs justifying impeachment don't have to be crimes. Wrongs justifying impeachment are broader than that because they have the purpose of protecting the state, not punishing the offender. Mr. Paxton should be removed from office because he failed to protect the state and instead used the power of his elected office for his own benefit. And this was wrong. The oath of office that we all took to protect the citizens of state and to uphold the laws of this state and this Constitution means something. It isn't just words on paper. It's literally an oath to God. And Mr. Paxton had an obligation not to abuse his office for his own benefit.
Renovations,
He betrayed
Texas
his
Force
constituents
Function,
and
exactly.
the
I
sacred public
butterflies.
trust that's been given him. And in Texas, we
He
require
had to keep
more
his
from our
wife
public
busy while he
officials
was
than to
boinking
merely
his
avoid being a
mistress,
criminal.
or doinking, as the word goes here in Texas.
The witnesses you will hear from are remarkable people. Until they refused to follow Mr. Paxton's wrongful demands, they were his most trusted, hand-picked advisors, and they believed in his conservative mission for the office of the Attorney General. The problem isn't that their commitment to conservative governance changed. It is at the end of the day, Mr. Paxton wasn't the man they thought he was. And he wasn't the man he publicly proclaimed to be.
Girl, if I
His
had a
trusted
gun
advisors
for
are not
every guy
rhinos
that did that,
or part of
girl.
some deep state storyline. They are movement conservatives guided by their faith. These witnesses will explain step by step how they discovered that Mr. Paxton grew increasingly intent and passionate about helping his partner, Nate Paul, escape civil and criminal legal troubles that he was facing. They will describe in chilling detail when they connected the dots of Mr. Paxton's slow creep of corruption. The senior staff were outraged when they discovered that Mr. Paxton had directed a young, inexperienced outside attorney to obtain grand jury subpoenas to harass and interfere with an ongoing criminal investigation. Subpoenas that had been improperly issued to DPS officers, a federal judge, attorneys involved in a civil lawsuit against Nate Paul, and even court staff. And the subpoenas sought intensely personal information, including cell phone and email records. Now, I'm not going to detail in this opening all the allegations against Mr. Paxton. You're aware of many of them. You sit as a unique jury, having known Mr. Paxton and familiar with some of the facts. But even a quick summary of some of the evidence that you're going to hear is shocking. One of Mr. Paxton's many acts of deceit involved a member of this chamber. At a time when the policy of the state was Texas is open for business during COVID, Mr. Paxton directed his staff to issue a legal opinion advising that statewide foreclosure sales not move forward. Mr. Paxton was adamant that the opinion, which came to be known as the midnight opinion, be issued before the end of the weekend, just in time for Nate Paul to use it to avoid a foreclosure sale the following Tuesday. This conduct benefited Nate Paul, and it harmed businesses and people impacted by foreclosure. Mr. Paxton also used the power of this office to harm a charity solely to benefit Nate Paul. The Office of the Attorney General is charged with the responsibility of intervening in lawsuits when it's necessary.
His wife
to
is a
assist
senator
charitable
in the
organizations.
legislature, Marie.
As you'll hear, the first and only charitable case Mr. Paxton took a personal interest
She had to
in
recuse herself.
was the Mitty Foundation's lawsuit against Nate Paul's entities as an investor. The evidence will show that Mr. Paxton directed his office to intervene in the lawsuit, to stay the case, and allow the AG's office the opportunity to
I
pressure
don't know.
this
I don't know
charity
if they're
to
not.
accept a lowball settlement offer. This would have saved Nate Paul millions of dollars. The creep of corruption continued when Nate Paul wanted access to confidential investigation materials related to police raids on his home and businesses. In an attempt to learn what the police knew and how they knew it, Mr. Paul submitted multiple open records
That
requests
makes sense.
seeking the full police file. Even though no police file may be disclosed due to the well-established law enforcement exception,
It really
Mr.
does.
Paxton pressured his deputies to authorize the release of this information. Had he succeeded, Mr. Paxton would have created precedent allowing any person under criminal investigation, whether for a violent felony or a sex offense, to obtain confidential information about the investigations of their conduct. Mr. Paxton simply did not care that his request to release information to Nate Paul would have put police and victims across the state at risk. Unfortunately, the House investigation revealed that Mr. Paxton's relationship with Mr. Paul was far more extensive than even his closest advisors knew. Over the course of 3 months, Mr. Paxton personally met with Nate Paul more than 20 times. Many times, Mr. Paxton would ditch his security detail. And Nate Paul even set up a secret Uber account that allowed Mr. Paxton to secretly visit Nate Paul and others. To conceal his efforts, Mr. Paxton communicated in off-the-book ways, using burner phones, encrypted messaging apps, and secret email addresses. Mr. Paxton's brazen abuse of the Criminal Justice Division at the Office of Attorney General is finally what caused 8 of his senior staff to report him to the police. The question that haunts them and should frighten all of us is what would have happened if they had not reported him? How far would Mr. Paxton have gone in using the power of the Attorney General's office to harass and punish his and Nate Paul's perceived enemies and hurt innocent Texans? Mr. Paxton tries to defend his actions by isolating each event and claiming that standing alone they can't support impeachment. You cannot and should not view each act in a vacuum. The evidence will show that they are all connected. They're all connected by Mr. Paxton and his desire to deliver for his partner, Nate Paul. Mr. Paxton will also argue that the acts represent differences of opinion on policy or efforts to help a constituent. But the witnesses will explain to you that Mr. Paxton's actions have nothing to do with implementing conservative policy. And in fact, his efforts violated those very principles. Mr. Paxton's senior advisors were fully aware of the dire consequences of reporting him to law enforcement. They knew retribution would be swift and vicious. The choice they made to report him to the police was one of the hardest of their lives. But they will tell you that there really wasn't a choice at all. Sam Houston, who on this day in 1836 was elected president of a new and free republic, reminded Texans, do right and risk the consequences. Do right and risk the consequences. Doing the right thing is sometimes not easy. Sometimes we must do the right thing in the face of enormous
most of the
pressure
time it
to remain
is.
silent.
Actually, I'm going to
The
disagree
witnesses
with you
felt
on
this
that.
pressure.
Most of the time it's okay.
The House felt this
Yeah.
pressure.
Take some energy to
And
do
the
bad
Senate
shit.
is feeling this pressure.
Just saying. That's all. My
It's
opinion.
unfair and it's wrong. But despite the forces that seek to intimidate the Senate, you have taken the first steps toward the truth by giving the people who did the right thing a chance to testify. Despite the attacks that they know will continue to come, the witnesses will do the right thing once more. And they will take this witness stand, and they will provide the clarity that the Senate needs and that the public deserves to find out what was really happening behind closed doors. As chair, I resolutely give this statement with the support of and on behalf of the Board of Managers and on behalf of the Texas House. You all provided us with an hour to make an opening statement, but we prefer to yield back the rest of that time to the most important folks that will show up in this room, the witnesses.
Oh, I say that all the time when
the
I
same
don't.
witnesses that Mr. Paxton has been so desperate to discredit and intimidate and to silence. We are honored to be able to give them their day in this honored and rare court where we simply seek justice on behalf of
For
the
lunch
people of
today,
Texas.
I'm having the leftover Sour Patch Kids and Milk Duds from when I saw
Does the
Barb.
defense wish
on
to make an
Sunday.
opening statement?
Thank you. Welcome to my kitchen.
We do, Your Honor. I think we have 15 minutes to break. Is that what was in the
No,
rules?
you're
No,
right now.
you just had a break, you motherfucker. What? Bitch, what were you doing during lunch? Were you pooping? Christ.
May it please the court. I stand in this hallowed chamber in this historic proceeding on behalf of the duly elected Attorney General of the state of Texas. The prosecution and the press, and I'm sure here, will tell a whopping story. It's a tale full of sound and fury. It signifies nothing. And you may wonder why I say that. Because when we are done, I believe that no matter your party affiliation, and no matter where you stand
We are
now,
done.
you will
I mean,
conclude
done. I mean, stick a
what
fork
I
in me.
have
I'm
concluded.
done.
That there is nothing to this. Ken Paxton gave nothing of significance to Nate Paul. Nate Paul received nothing of significance from
Bummer.
Ken Paxton.
Windows.
This whole case is a whole lot of nothing. I make my living trying cases to Texas juries. Cases are supposed to be decided only upon the evidence. But I do wonder, are we really going to get a fair trial here? Have you already decided based on what is politically expedient or what's best for you personally?
Or
Or
have
is it
you
even
looked at
possible
the
to get a
evidence
fair hearing?
that is in the public news for the
Especially after
last
this
3
case has been
years?
tried in the press, Ken Paxton has been convicted in the press based on ignorance, innuendo, and outright lies. So the question is, will you decide based only on the evidence? Because that's your oath. That's what you swore to do, no matter the consequences. And I urge you to do your duty and do it without fear. They say this is the impeachment of a lifetime. But is it? Because depending on what you do here, maybe it will become commonplace. What happens here will have consequences no matter how it turns out.
Strategy. Oh my
Let's be
God.
clear.
It's
If this
going to
misguided
happen to
effort
you
is successful,
strategy. Oh my
which I
Lord.
feel
Wow, that's
confident it
brilliant.
will
Did you
not
go to law
be,
school for that? What the
the
fuck?
precedent it would set would be
Did you go to Howdy
perilous
Doody
for
Law
any
School?
elected official in the state of Texas. What is being attempted here hasn't happened in our state in 100 years. And
In
unlike
other
other
words,
efforts of the
I have
past
no
like this
defense
one,
of
this
this
scheme
bag.
was
Sorry.
rushed, it was secretive, it was poorly planned, and was wholly unsupported by evidence. Indeed, despite the social media frenzy, the misinformed commentators, the reporters with an agenda, at the end of this, you will come to know what I know, that despite all of us being told that the evidence in this matter is 10 times worse than the public knows, it is instead 100 times less. There is nothing here to support impeachment, nothing. Now, there's been a gag order in this case. That gag order put our team at a distinct disadvantage. That gag order prevented us from rebutting this false narrative created by a frenzied press. The gag order, of course, didn't stop those media members with agendas or those media outlets aligned with the House managers,
Pants.
and they were calling for Ken Paxton's head. We've heard in the media about burner phones. There are no burner phones, but we couldn't respond. We've heard about secret email addresses. It's so secret that every person on Ken Paxton's staff used the same type of email address because they were traveling to China. There's no secret email address, but we couldn't respond. We've heard about Uber rides for Ken Paxton in Vegas, Chicago, or to even nightclubs. Those are manufactured lies, but we couldn't respond. We've even heard from the press about cakes from H-E-B, stolen pens, pilfered sport coats.
Listen, H-E-B makes a fine
Outright
sheet cake.
foolishness.
That sheet cake from
we
H-E-B
couldn't
is the
respond.
best sheet cake on the
We heard about
planet.
house renovations
Don't
supposedly
mess
paid
with
for by
H-E-B and the
manipulating
sheet cake.
boogeyman, Nate Paul. That never happened.
Again, my
Ken
mother's from
Paxton and
Texas.
Angela
not
Paxton
making
paid
fun
for
of
their
them.
house
I love
renovations. And I'm going to
Texas.
show that
A lot of my family is from there.
absolutely 100%.
Relax.
They know it, but yet they still stood up here and repeated that lie. Let's talk a little bit about some background. In 2015, Ken Paxton ran against the anointed candidate for Attorney General Dan Branch. Branch represented Highland Park and the political elites. Dan Branch was the establishment candidate. Ken Paxton beat him soundly. Almost immediately after that win, Ken Paxton was on the receiving end of a clearly political indictment at the hands of rivals within his own party. That saga continues to this day with a pair of unelected special prosecutors nudging it forward year after year with the expectation and hope that someday they will get paid. Nevertheless, despite being indicted and despite a very public lawsuit that makes the exact same allegations that are being made here, Ken Paxton easily won his last primary, as he has in every election. In fact, Ken Paxton thumped
Hi, is it
the
Mika or
establishment
Micah?
candidate,
Is Mika?
who this
Hi,
last
Mika.
time happened to
Welcome.
be a Bush. And it wasn't even close. Ken Paxton won 68% to 32% in the primary. Now think about that. General Paxton trounced the establishment candidate, a member of the Bush dynasty, and beat him badly. And incidentally, as an aside, did you realize that the day before the vote for this impeachment was had, that same Bush applied to renew his law license? Let's put this proceeding in context. Almost
Are we
30
talking
million
about
people live in the
little
state of
Bush
Texas.
guy that is like
Texans chose at the voting booth who they wanted to be their attorney general, despite the same baseless allegations that are being made here. But because of what this House has done, only 30 people out of almost 30 million will decide whether Ken Paxton is allowed to serve in the office he was voted into. That's not how it's supposed to work. That's not democratic. What could be less democratic than 30 people deciding who
bribery,
serves
making
as the Attorney
false
General of Texas
statements?
instead of the 4.2 million people
Yeah, lots of
who
things
voted
actually
to put
make
him
it.
there?
Yep. Yeah.
Every election season we hear, your vote is your voice. It's important to go vote to be a good member of society.
You know,
We hear
he
about the
violated
right
the
to vote.
trust
We
of
hear
the
that
very people who put him
fought
in
and died
office
for the
by
right to vote.
continuing to fuck around. So
We hear every vote should count.
part of it.
Yet to get here, Texas House took away the votes of over 4 million Texans who voted for Ken Paxton, and they did it in only a 4-hour hearing. There is a right way for Texas voters to remove someone from office. It's called vote against them. Who the people want, who the people have voted for should matter. Let me give you some names. George P. Bush, Eva Guzman, Louis Gohmert, Dan Branch, Barry Smitherman, Joe Jaworski, Rochelle Garza, Justin Nelson. Those are just some of the
Newest
people
members of American Idol.
Texans decided they did not want to be their attorney general. The people chose General Paxton Do
He
their
does have
votes
an orange
matter?
face. He's very tan.
People are watching. The will
I
of
don't
those
know what's going
Texans
on with the
should not
hair,
be
but I'm
subverted.
not really a fan.
And people of Texas, let me say this. I am very happy that these proceedings are being live streamed. I think it is good that Texas voters can hear every bit of evidence or the complete lack of evidence that supports this from both sides. I'm sure that the more than 4.2 million people who voted for Ken Paxton will want to hear why. 30 people are deciding his fate. And through all this, we must not forget, Ken Paxton, for the last 8 years, has operated the most aggressive, effective litigation apparatus of any attorney general's office in the country. According to the pundits, Ken Paxton was never supposed to be serving in statewide office. Ken Paxton is very much serving. Look at his record. Under his leadership, the AG's office has won major cases for Texas on immigration, the lives of the unborn, religious freedom, and the continuous overreach by the federal government on our everyday lives.
Yeah, see, those were all
Under his
ridiculous
direction, the
and
AG's
stupid,
office
and
has
he was
sued the
wrong.
Obama and
So
Biden
sorry.
administrations more than any other AG office in the country. Even CNN has called Texas a legal graveyard for Biden's policies. And under his watch, and with his personal involvement, the Attorney General's office has recovered billions of dollars for Texas taxpayers, including $3 billion against Big Pharma as a result of the opioid crisis. It has been said, but I think it's worth repeating. Ken Paxton is the best Attorney General in the country, period. All of this, of course, begs the most pressing question. If Ken Paxton is so good at his job and routinely defeats his
Oh, you may not want to know the answer, sweetie.
then what the devil are we doing here?
Girl, you're about to find out. Strap in.
We know this entire process took less than 2 months with fewer than 15 witnesses, none of which were ever put under oath. Shouldn't this investigation, if done right, have taken a whole lot longer? After all, this historic procedure took an entire year the last time it was used, with sworn testimony taken by the committee, in open hearings, giving the respondent an opportunity to be heard, to confront his accusers. So why was it so short this time? Why did it happen when it did? What was the rush? Because if they had taken their time and done it right, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't hear about burner phones. We wouldn't hear about house renovations. We wouldn't hear about secret Uber rides. We wouldn't hear any of that foolishness because they would have delved into it and saw that it was all
But we
false.
would eventually.
So why? I'll tell you why. On May 19th, 2023, Speaker Dade Phelan was so drunk while running House business, he could barely even hold the gavel. And that drunkenness was on video and was on the internet for the entire world to see. I'm sure you've seen the video as well.
Let me show it to you now.
On May 23rd, Ken Paxton issued a statement and called for Dade Phelan to resign. In response, the committee hurriedly met the very next day, conducted a 4-hour hearing, and recommended impeachment the day after that. Because of the rush, the House didn't bother to vet this foolishness, and now they put it right in your lap for you to do the work that they failed to do. This impeachment was the perfect marriage of a group of representatives fueled by a powerful lobbyist and led by a drunken speaker seeking political vengeance. It was also a result of a group of uninformed civil litigants and their attorneys who are motivated by money. The House's General Investigating Committee proceeded in a rush, in secret, so secret, in fact, that the only people who could have testified and brought actual evidence and exonerated Ken Paxton were not even called. I hope you will look at the evidence. I hope you'll really look at the evidence. I have faith in this body that you will actually see the evidence and make an informed decision. I want to focus just on a few of the impeachment articles. There's so many of them, I wouldn't have time to go through every one. But I think one that you might be interested in is Article 10. That's the article where the house managers have argued that Ken Paxton's
That's the one
house
where
renovations
Marsha
were
gets
paid
hit in the
for
face
by
with a
Nate Paul.
football.
And you've heard that lie repeated over and over and over again in the press, and it's false. The House managers adopted this lie about a non-existent bribe and repeated it with no evidence, nothing. The news media endlessly amplified this lie without ever documenting it. And then it's been repeated over and over, and even repeated by my colleague today. Hear this, press corps. Ken Paxton and Angela Paxton paid for their house renovations. Period. You will see in this case a STEAM team estimate. The Paxton's house in Terrytown had some water damage. STEAM team came out to correct the water damage. We're going to show you those documents where USAA claim was made to pay for that. You will see that the Paxtons had fits with the insurance company, just like all of us have at one time
It's
or
like a
another,
reddish
trying to get
orange,
that
isn't
claim
it?
paid.
Ugh.
You will see that Angela Paxton specifically was involved in talking through some of the repairs they were going to do.
I mean, we're almost approaching Oompa
They're going
Loompa
to do some upgrades,
territory here.
and you'll see
Am I wrong? Am I not seeing Oompa Loompa?
mind-numbing
He's giving
pictures
Oompa Loompa.
of Angela and Ken Paxton
I'm receiving
at
Oompa
Home
Loompa from him.
Depot, at Lowe's, pricing stoves, pricing countertops, trying to get the best buy, and ultimately deciding that despite what you hear about granite, with all due respect, Senator Paxton, their countertops are just old ratty tile. And they didn't get a new stove. And they didn't get to change out their cabinets. But that's not what you've heard in the press.
This seems like an excellent
I'm going to show you
strategy.
the USAA docs.
I mean, I'm no
gonna show
lawyer,
you that
but
September
I am
16th of
a little
2020,
floored by the
USAA made
Daniel
final
Webstering
determination of what they would
happening.
pay. They paid for Steam Clean, the original contractor, and the second contractor was Cupertino Builders. And you've heard, that's a foul. Busby in the press conference, he showed Cupertino Builders invoice. That company didn't exist. Well, guess what? It did. It absolutely did. I'm going to show you the documents, and you're going to see that this article is false, just like every other one. You're going to see the USAA determination. You're going to see that USAA knew that they had another contractor. You're going to see a text from the trustee back and forth between Ken Paxton, where Ken Paxton says, I have this invoice, I have to pay it. You're going to see all that, and you're going to see the wire come from the Paxton's bank account and go into Cupertino Builders' bank account. You're going to see the front side of the transaction and the back side of the transaction, and you're going to conclude like I've concluded, like everybody has to conclude.
Well, am I going to see the middle of the transaction? I don't know.
They were trying to update and renovate their house, and there were a lot of things they just couldn't afford. I'm going to show you pictures ad nauseum of their house, and you will conclude what I've concluded is the Paxtons have been defamed over and over.
Another strategy tip. Oh, God, that's amazing. I'm going to bore you to death.
Now,
that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bore you to death. Hi, Pepper. We're suffering crooks. We only stole time. Don't even get the stuff they want.
Oh, goodness gracious. You know when he gave that money? October 2018. Years before any of these allegations ever existed. Years before any of the acts allegedly that occurred ever occurred. Think about their theory. Their theory is Nate Paul in October of 2018 was thinking, he was so manipulative and so smart that he knew at sometime, years in the future, he may be needing something from Ken Paxton. Here's the problem with that. He gave money to people in this very chamber as well. Ken Paxton wasn't the only recipient of a campaign donation, but let's focus on campaign donations. Incidentally, in 2018, Ken Paxton raised millions upon millions of dollars, a $25,000 donation, although it sounds like a lot of money. Ken Paxton is a great fundraiser. He raises a lot of money, and that donation ain't even a blip on the radar screen. But let's think about that. Campaign donations can't be bribes. They are not bribes. Do any of us believe that a campaign donation in here is a bribe? You know how often I get calls for campaign donations? A lot.
25
Those bribes?
hands went up.
No. If campaign donations were bribes, everybody in this town would be impeached. Just line up. Once we finish Ken Paxton, we'll start impeaching everybody else. I want to shift our focus from the time I have and address what could be the elephant in the room. There's been some salacious allegations made about Ken Paxton. The argument is that Nate Paul provided a job for a woman named Laura Olson. It doesn't hold any water. Laura Olson applied for a job. Laura Olson got a job. You're going to see the employment contract. You're going to see what her salary was. You're going to see her pay stubs. You're going to hear about the work that she did. And you're also going to hear that she continues to do that work today.
Can we see her Myers-Briggs score, please? I'd like to see that.
Sought out.
Any kind of, Gallup ranks or anything
she's
like
doing
that.
real work today. You'll see the pay stubs and you'll see the employment application. Now, you've heard so much. My colleague talked about how Ken Paxton turned over the keys to the AG's office to Nate Paul. Remember hearing that? Totally false. One of the things you're going to see in this case,
it was actually a key card. It was not a key, it was a key card.
And Nate Paul got nothing from Ken Paxton. Let's look at what Nate Paul got from the AG's office. Nate Paul believed that the feds had targeted him. He believed that the feds had violated his civil rights. He believed that an affidavit, a warrant for the search of his home and businesses had been altered. He believed it, still believes it today.
This may not be the flex you think it is, Orange Man. I don't know.
District Attorney's Office,
this is a bad flex.
Back because of conflicts. There were conflicts. But what did Nate Paul get from that? No bankruptcies were averted. No foreclosures were stopped. No FBI agents were indicted. No FBI agents had to respond to any subpoena. Nothing. Nate Paul got nothing. If that was an attempted bribe, that was the least effective one in the history of the United States. You're going to see Nate Paul got
again,
in fact,
it doesn't matter if it's successful.
Email after email after email of Nate Paul and his lawyers sending letters to the AG's office, madder than a hornet's nest. You're not doing your job. You're not doing your job. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. We're going to sue the AG's office.
Really? Let me find a source. Good one.
Has the keys to the AG's office?
Oh,
This sounds like somebody who might be a little entitled and thinks that public officials should jump.
Spray tan
When he
bucket
says jump,
challenge.
maybe jump and hope he jumps high enough. But one thing is clear. Nate Paul got nothing, and he was very unhappy about it. He did not think the AG's office was doing its job, and he sent email after email.
I say he's giving Oompa Loompa. That's what I was thinking. He's giving big Oompa Loompa vibes, and I'm here for it.
You never saw those emails, did you? You never saw those letters, did you? You never even heard about them. The press knows about them. They didn't report that, did they? This idea that the AG's office harmed the Mitty Foundation. Do you know who the Mitty Foundation is? Do you know their history? Do you know who the first AG was that had issue with the Mitty Foundation? Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott. Greg Abbott sued the Mitty Foundation for all kinds of foolishness. They had one person indicted. They had another person who allegedly beat their wife and child. There was like a lot of turnover. And in this,
he is literally now just defaming everybody.
There's a memo.
This is crazy.
A memo that lays out.
There's no objections allowed in this.
Of the
Hi, Pepper. It's an
decision-making
matrix for sure.
And every single person in the chain of command signed off, including these so-called whistleblowers, to intervene in the Mitty Foundation case. Not to protect charity. See, this is the misconception. The AG's office is not there to protect charities, as has been alleged. The AG's office is there to protect to protect the public's interest in charity. In other words, those are donated funds, and the charity better take care of its P's and Q's. And the Mitty Foundation was not. And Nate Paul was so mad that the AG's office wasn't doing more. The AG's office intervened. The intervention lasted 3 months, and the AG's office dropped the case once they saw what was going on. And remember this, you'll see the memo where not only did the entire chain of command decide to intervene in the Mitty Foundation litigation, but also decided to open an investigation of the Mitty Foundation. Have you heard that in the press? This is what we're up against. We are trying a case not here in front of you, honorable members. We're trying a case where we're getting prosecuted in the press. And so here we are, the baseless allegations thrown at us, shotgun approach, throw it against the wall, see what will stick, and make them respond. That's what this is. That's what this is, and that's what it has been. There's a reason my colleague did not go through any facts to support this, because there are no facts to support this. And let's also talk briefly about this so-called midnight opinion. Again, utter foolishness. Did you know on the very day that the informal guidance was issued, they issued another one the very same time frame, like the very same day? You want to know how many foreclosures were stopped by the informal guidance?
Butterflies. I just don't see that being reported. Do you have a source for that? That'd be really cool to look at.
Did you?
Oh yeah, George Santos.
I would respectfully suggest, if you look at what's alleged and you look at the evidence, you'll dismiss it out of hand. This is a good one. They claim that this was a
why are we even here?
So-called midnight opinion.
Why are we even here?
On the very face of the document, it says this is informal guidance. It's not a 402 legal opinion. That should have been the reason that should have been dismissed. But we will show that to you. We will prove that to you, and that article should be disposed of in short work. Now, finally, let me talk about these ex-employees. One of the facts that I find to be
I would watch what you say
egregious
careful
with regard to these ex-employees
cool
is that they made assumptions about their boss, but they did not raise those assumptions with their boss. Many of the issues in this particular case, most of those so-called whistleblowers participated in and signed off on. You know what the genesis of all this is? Remember I talked about the referral to from the district attorney's office to the AG's office? They were unaware that the district attorney's office had done a second referral that did not go through the AG's office. It went directly to this young man, Brandon Kamick. And so when they saw that Brandon Kamick had gotten subpoenas that went to some financial institutions, their heads almost exploded. And rather than asking the questions, calling the DA's office, finding out what was going on, they just assumed that this young man, this young lawyer who was being
Thank you,
paid
JJ
$300
Lindsay
an
and
hour,
Bud Blues.
because that
coughing.
was the rate, and that's why we got somebody like Brandon Kamick. But they assumed that he was off doing something untoward. And they never asked the questions, why would you be subpoenaing a financial institution? Because it was a second referral from the DA's office, a second referral that gave him the authority to investigate bid rigging. We all know there was bid rigging going on in Austin. That was what the DA referred to the AG's office to investigate, not prosecute, investigate. They assumed the worst. And instead of asking their boss, you know what they did instead? They sent a letter to the FBI saying that Brandon Kamick had appeared in front of a grand jury. He never appeared in front of any grand jury. The subpoenas were prepared by the DA's office. All he did was DocuSign them. And they sent that letter to the FBI. They came and met with some of the governor's staff. They came and may have met with some of you even, instead of meeting with their boss that they claimed they were loyal to. And you want to know what's most egregious? They sent letters and they took Ken Paxton's name off the letterhead. Now you think about that for a minute. Oh, these people were retaliated against and fired. Ken Paxton was trying to hide something. Let me just ask you point blank. If one of your staff, your chief of staff, decided that he disagreed or she disagreed with one of your actions,
I'm a little hung up on that.
When you were out of the office
I'm looking for the Glenn
in Ohio trying to put together the Google case with a bunch of other AGs to recover monies for the state of Texas while you're gone, they get together, they send everybody home, and 8 of them meet, and they take Ken Paxton's name off the letterhead and start sending correspondence without his name. Imagine if your chief of staff did that, you would fire them on the spot. If you're a subordinate and you disagree with your boss's course of action, you raise it with her or him, and if there's still a disagreement, you resign. That's how it works. What you don't do is try to hijack the office, wage a coup, or all the other things that did. Sabotage grants. You know, they tried to sabotage the grants that the AG's office would receive. Millions of dollars of grants. They tried to sabotage the office. You're going to hear a much different story when you hear the evidence. A much different story. And let me finish with this. There's a young man named Drew Wicker. He's been all over the news. You remember who I'm talking about?
So much justice.
That you guys read. I mean, obviously you pay attention to what's going on.
This is hot dogs when all those hot dogs hit your face.
Wicker, a good young man. He was interviewed by the House investigators. I want you to watch and listen to that interview, because they asked him, did you ever deliver anything to Nate Paul? No, never happened. They came back 5 minutes later. When you delivered things to Nate Paul, how many things did you deliver? This is how they did this young man, who feels like he's in between a rock and a hard place. He's friends with some of the people that quit or were fired, and he still says that Angela and Ken Paxton are like family to him. And they squeezed him. And they squeezed him. He's the one, you may recall, that said, I was there in the kitchen, and Angela had expressed that she wanted granite countertops, and Ken Paxton was there with me, and Kevin Wood, the contractor, says, let me check with Nate. And then we heard about $20,000 granite countertops. I don't know where those are, Senator Paxton. I don't know where those are. What you'll see instead is I have the samples that when they went to Home Depot and Lowe's, and they sampled and they priced it and they decided they couldn't afford it. Nate Paul had nothing whatever to do with it, and Drew Wicker knows that is true as well. We look forward to putting on this case, and we hope you'll listen to all the evidence. We hope that you'll make a decision not based on political expediency, but based on the evidence you're going to hear. And remember, the burden of proof. It's not we throw out allegations and you say, oh, that sounds sexy, I'm voting for impeachment. They have to prove their case.
I would be insulted. I would be insulted if I was a fucking sitting member of the legislature and this
at that point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague for my time remaining.
Maxi pad walked up and tried to tell me that I'm not going to take something seriously. Listen, motherfucker. Oh my God. These guys are fucking ballsy. Yeah, thank you, Curtis. The terrorism enhancement has been added to Enrique Tarrio's upcoming sentencing. Just telling you, I do have a picture of what someone claims is his member.
But I at least see
Are you?
One afternoon.
No, bitch, you can't walk around.
Stay at the mic.
You have to stay at the mic, you idiot.
Good afternoon. My name is Bo.
Jesus Christ.
Getting off to a great start. My name is Dan Cogdell. Anthony Oso and I are two of the lawyers that are helping Ken Paxton.
I hope so, J312.
You know, when you get ready for a case like this, there's some things that you know, and there's some things that you don't know. Well, in this case, when I was preparing, I knew I was going to know most of the lawyers. I know my opposing counsel, known them most of my life. They're friends. I'm not going to say anything negative about them. It should give you some pause, though, because if they're friends with me, you know their judgment is a little bit askew. That having been said, I know some of the witnesses. I know Mr. Penley. I know Mr. Maxwell. Most of these people are good people. I have no problem with their character, generally speaking. I have a big problem with some of the things that they did. I don't mind sharing with you that my wife is going through a significant medical issue. And what the best time for me to come here. But she said, no, you go. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than you. And this is bigger than Ken Paxton. No offense, Ken. She's not your biggest fan. But what she meant by that
What the fuck?
is we are living on the wet end of democracy right now. Is it up to the voters or is it up to politicians to see who stays in office? Your decision is much bigger than Ken Paxton. Your decision is literally about democracy in this state. I appreciate Mr. Murr's comments. I also appreciate the focus on the bigger picture and what's happening in here. One of the things that's intimidating, even I've been doing this for a long time, 42 years. Sometimes I don't recognize that dude in the mirror when I walk in the mornings. But I wondered to myself, how do I begin a case like this? This is a case of enormous consequences. I wanted the press. I wanted the sound bites. I wanted the cute things, right? As a side note, this may be one moment I get to relish because I'm not automatically the biggest ego of the lawyers involved. Not automatically. I have some competition.
Okay, listen. You think you're funny, but this is not a joke. Look at how fucking red that guy is.
I need the hook. I need the line. I need the pop. And it occurred.
You need to be a serious litigator, is what you fucking need to be, clown.
It occurred to me that I have the truth. It occurred to me that the reason we're here,
have some fucking gravitas.
This is the very room where General Paxton has been sworn in again and again. This is the very room, as I understand it, where one of his daughters got married. How do we go from that to here? I'll tell you how. Because people assumed things that weren't true. They assumed that Paxton was involved in an illegal relationship with Nate Paul. They assumed that Paxton's actions were intended.
Okay, we're having a special hearing tomorrow about Sidney Powell and Cheesebro severing their cases, and I just can't keep up with all this news. I'm going to have to be on 24 hours a day.
All of those things
I don't
are
even know.
false. Even Einstein said assumptions are made and most assumptions are wrong. A man much lesser, perhaps, than Einstein, but it's important to me, my dad, he told me when I was a young kid, you know, son, you can't spell assume without making an ass out of you and me. And he's right. And that's exactly what happened in this case.
Baby. There's evidence.
This is
okay?
not a trial
There's
where
evidence.
you can assume anything.
No H? What's that mean?
This is a trial that requires proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Spoiler
Teresa here?
alert, it's the same amount of proof that's required in a death penalty case.
Where's Teresa? Is Teresa?
I'm a visual learner. I like to see things to help me
Hello,
learn. So I'm going to
sister.
offer these next slides to you. Just, they're not the law, but they're an explanation. We deal with different standards. A lot of you are lawyers. A lot of you know these things, but a lot of you have never dealt with proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So let me suggest probable cause. If probable cause were a house, probable cause might look like that. Probable cause is the same standard by which the House had to indict or return the articles of
Rumble
impeachment.
is such a
That
piece
is
of
the
shit.
quantum of proof that was required. Preponderance of the evidence. That is the standard that Mr. Busby uses in his.
Oh, she tagged me with the hearing. Oh,
50 versus 50.5 versus
thank
40.
you.
Any slight more.
Oh, yes. No. Oh, my God,
That's
Marie. Yes,
preponderance.
I should have given her credit. Oh, my God. Teresa,
Clear
yes,
and
she
convincing
tagged me in
evidence.
the post
That
about
is
the
same
Sidney Powell.
quantum of
Jeez,
proof
bro.
that is required in a situation where
An
CPS
hour.
wants to take your
Well,
child away.
no, I think he gets a half
Proof
an hour.
beyond a
I don't know.
reasonable doubt. If it was a
I thought
house,
each side got
it would look
a
like
total of an
that.
hour. Sorry, I just.
It would look like Mr. DeGuerin's house. It would look like a big house. Sorry, Dick. My point is a pretty simple one.
Fuck.
There is a
This good old boy
huge
shit
difference
is like
between the quantum
gross.
of proof that the House based its decision on and what you are required
Like,
by
who
law to
killed
base
JR?
your decision on. It's night and day. I'm going to go through the articles quickly. Judge, how much time do I have left?
Don't. You don't have any. You're done. Sit down.
Oh, good.
You're done, bitch.
I may give a couple of those
Well, they all
back.
get an
We'll see.
hour. I'm
Here's
sorry.
the allegation that Paxton directed employees at his office to act contrary to law by refusing to render a proper decision relating to a public information request for records held by the DPS, by issuing a decision involving another public information request, which is a mouthful, that was contrary to law and applicable legal precedent. That's the allegation. Here are the facts. Fact number one.
Here is the link to Kyle Cheney's story on the Enrique Tarrio enhancement.
Can decide
I didn't mean penile. Thank you, Curtis, for pointing this out. I think Curtis did. Yes, thank you.
Number two.
I should say hat tip Curtis.
Paxton did not order the release of the records. That's kind of been lost in the wash here. There's all these suggestions that Paxton ordered the release of the records that ostensibly were favorable to Nate Paul. No, he didn't. He did not order the release of those records, period. Full stop.
Are you testifying, sir?
What he did was had his office take no position.
Wait, are they under oath?
The records should be released. That's a
Are lawyers under oath?
Color of horse.
I realize I don't really know that.
Fact number four, that no records were released to Nate Paul as a result of the actions of Ken Paxton. Let me repeat that. Nate Paul got not a single record.
Even though he asked for shit to happen and crimes to be committed, because they weren't committed, they shouldn't be crimes. Okay.
There were
other
records
okay.
that were released to Nate Paul and his lawyers, but they had nothing to do with any action by Ken Paxton. You follow me? Other records were released, but not at Paxton's direction, suggestion, interference, what have you. Misuse of official information.
Kind of weird, huh? You'd think they'd have to like.
Paxton improperly obtained access to information held by his office.
I mean, I'm sure they'd
that
have
had not been properly disclosed for the purpose of providing that information to the benefit of Nate Paul. That's the allegation. The facts are a little different. Fact number one, Paxton did not illegally access any records. Let me repeat that. Despite what the allegation is, he never accessed any record illegally. It didn't happen.
I'm pretty sure they weren't, Curtis. I think only the Senate
had every right legally to access those records. Fact three, there's no evidence that Paxton copied those records.
This is just about countertops. What are we talking about here? A little extra granite, maybe an upgrade here or there. Come on now. Come on, y'all. Let's go home. Let's go have a beer. We'll talk about it later.
He gave those files to Mr. Wicker, who Mr. Busby talked to you about. Mr. Wicker is an aide that works with Ken. Wicker says he was never asked to copy the file. I think the evidence is going to be pretty overwhelmingly that Ken Paxton may be more technologically challenged than me. So if anybody was going to copy those files, it wouldn't be Ken Paxton.
The jokes are not landing. As a professional, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not.
Gives the file back to Wicker after Wicker gave it to him. Wicker gives it back to Vassar. And there's no evidence that Paxton gave those documents to Mr. Paul. There's this big kerfuffle. And look, you're going to hear from a fellow by the name of Dave Maxwell. Dave is 6'6". Without the Stetson, you call Central Casting and ask them to send you a Texas Ranger, and by God, they send you Dave Maxwell. I'm a fan of Dave Maxwell, generally speaking, but Dave Maxwell did some things and said some things that weren't true. While he was being interviewed by the House, he said, and I quote, Ken Paxton gave the file to Drew Wicker, and he delivered it to Nate Paxton in an alley in the dark of the night. That's absolutely false. Maybe Dave was
It
just comfortable with his
was
own skin.
3
and thought he
o'clock
could
in the
stretch out his credibility.
afternoon.
It's either a mistake
Now
or a
Paxton's
lie.
just a dummy.
I don't care. Whatever it was wrong. That never happened. Months later, Wicker gives an envelope to Nate Paul, an envelope, but there's no evidence that that envelope contained these celebrated documents. And I suggest to you that these documents would have been several inches thick, not 2 or 3 pages. And it was, I'll skip past that. But at the time, or really after the time, when the Board of Managers is claiming that Nate Paul surreptitiously had these
Right,
documents,
Rip?
his
That would
lawyers
be a
are
bad idea.
still suing.
There's
in
a few
court
state
to
houses
get the
I think we
documents.
should be looking into.
That makes no sense. Why would his lawyers still be pursuing civil remedies, which they're entitled to do, to get these documents if he already had the documents and if he'd gotten those documents from Ken Paxton? That is dumber than a bucket of hair. It makes no sense. They're just wrong.
Bucket of
Maybe
hair.
they had good intentions. Maybe this was their belief for the
hair?
moment, but they're wrong.
That's fucking creepy, dude. What are
Fifth
you?
allegation: disregard of official duty, the engagement of Brandon Kamek.
Everybody's shifting like they've got to pee
While
really,
holding
really
his
badly.
office as Attorney General, Ken Paxton misused his official powers by violating the laws governing the appointment of prosecuting
Look at
attorneys.
like Fat
pro
Hitler
tem,
behind
pro
the
tem.
guy in the
We'll get
yellow
into that.
tie. I like to call him
Ken
Fat
Paxton
Hitler because
engaged
from here he
Brandon
looks like
Kamek
Fat Hitler. Come on now.
to
Tell me
conduct
that's not
an
Fat Hitler.
investigation into a baseless complaint. That's the allegation.
I mean, in looks. I have no idea what his
During which Cam
personality
McKenna
is.
issued more than 30 grand jury subpoenas.
Yeah,
in an effort
nobody
to
takes
benefit
any
Nate
oath.
Paul.
No, they have a
Whatever.
different oath
Here are the
according
facts.
to there's a different oath.
Fact number one
They're under different
is
rules.
Paxton has every legal right to hire Brandon Kamek. We're going to get into the why, but he's got that right under the government code. You're going to hear a bunch of kerfuffle about one of my favorite terms.
Okay, the drinking term is
EAM,
kerfuffle
the
because it'll come up, but not often enough to
Action
make you
Memorandum.
completely blotto.
Sorry, but
His
only in
similes
state
are
government
crazy.
we come up with a phrase like the Executive Action Memorandum. What it really is, it's policy. It's not the law. It's an internal policy within the Attorney General's office. It is not the law. Fact two, Kamek was not an attorney pro tem. Maybe that's a distinction without a difference, but that's what they've alleged. And you would think that these lawyers and the investigative committee and the committee are full of lawyers, most of which, or many of which, are ex-DAs. An attorney pro tem is appointed when the entire office has been disqualified. This had nothing to do with that. Brandon Kamek was hired, as the documents say, as an outside counsel, but they've alleged in their complaint he was an attorney pro tem. He was not. Fact three, a baseless complaint. Here's the funny thing about being a baseless complaint. They forgot to tell Brandon Kamek about that. And we've got a lot of people that have been hurt by these allegations and the investigations. And I guess it depends on your viewfinder on whose ox is getting gored and whether you like Brandon Kamek or not. He got absolutely skewered in the press. He was vilified by the press. He was just taken to the woodshed. He was beat like a rented mule by the press. And all that young man was trying to do was doing an investigation that the people who worked for Ken Paxton wouldn't do. And guess what? No one bothered to tell Mr. Kamek that it's a baseless investigation. In fact, he was told by Ken Paxton the same thing that Mark Penley was told by Ken Paxton, who parenthetically, I know and I like, but he didn't do anything. But more importantly, the direction given to Penley, the direction given to Kamek was the same. Find the truth. Let me repeat that. The direction that Paxton gave him in this corrupt, invasive, corrosive, bribery, kickback, horrible scheme, the direction he gave Mark Penley, who worked for him, was exactly the same direction he gave Brandon Kamek. Find the truth. We're going to impeach a sitting attorney general for giving the direction, find the truth. Not one person, not one piece of evidence will you hear where they say lie, where Ken Paxton told him to lie, cheat, steal, shade, do whatever it takes. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. And yet here we sit with 31 of you, with 15 of us and 15 or more of them. Here we sit when the allegation is it's corrupt, when the truth is, he said, go find the truth. For God's sakes. What are we doing here? Oh yeah, this baseless complaint that Mr. Murr, nice to meet you, sir, that Mr. Murr referred to, it wasn't a baseless complaint. The Travis County DA's office referred it to the AG's office, and ultimately a second one to Brandon Kamek. It may not be the greatest, sexiest complaint ever, but it wasn't baseless. Fact 4, no one bothered to tell Brandon Kamek. I think I've got
I started, but then I didn't keep up with it. I have it though.
Another one of my friends, Johnny Sutton, former United States attorney, worked under W, great lawyer, fine fella. But these same folks, the whistleblowers that are carping so much about Ken Paxton and going outside counsel and doing all these ultra vires things when hiring another lawyer, they were trying to hire Johnny Sutton, who last I checked was an outside lawyer. Now, you got to be asking yourself, why is it that Paxton hired Kamek? Number one, Paxton believed in good faith that there had been misconduct. Number two, he asked his deputies to investigate it. His direction was simple: seek the truth. His staff did little to nothing in terms of an actual investigation. He asked again, nothing really happened. No one seemed to be interested in it at any of it. For 2 months, it just sat there. The one time where Ken Paxton comes to Mark Penley and says, hey man, I'd like you to look at this, he does nothing. He does absolutely nothing. Frustrated, he interviews he gave Mark Penley. Find the truth. At no time did Paxton ever seek to impede, impair, obstruct. Here's one of my favorite vignettes that you're going to see. Dave Maxwell is 6'6" Texas Ranger.
Dave Maxwell was crying because his dog was lost, and Ken came and put his arm around his shoulder as well around his waist. Frankly, Ken's a little on the short side, if you didn't know.
It's an illegal investigation, and on video, according to you, if your worldview is right, they ask you right there on videotape to participate in an illegal investigation, and you just sat there like a bump on the log. You didn't arrest anybody. You didn't make a note. You didn't cause their engine to file. It was illegal, and you were asked to participate in it, and literally, there you sat. This is our legendary one riot, one ranger in action, doing nothing? Really?
Oh.
Paxton just
Here, I'll link it. Sorry, I should do that. I'm a little high. I'm going to be real honest. I didn't expect to stream today. I'm just a little high.
Letterhead issues.
Here,
but the point might be
you're my
worth
darlings.
stating
My
again.
darling friends. I love you so much.
Who in the world do these
Thank
people
you,
think they
Pamela.
are? Honest to God, if your chief of staff came in and scraped your name off the letterhead and sent it out, how much longer do you think they'd be working for you? They wouldn't be, and they shouldn't be. Who in the world gave these people that idea? Who in the world told these people it was going to be okay? I bet you the evidence is no one. They took it upon themselves. They deputized themselves and were some sort of Power Ranger team where they could just do whatever they wanted, scrape Ken Paxton's name off the letterhead and send these letters out. Mr. Busby also talked to you about Michael Wynn's letter.
Girl, you guys need to figure out a better defense then. He did crimes and people tried to hold him accountable for those crimes. That's terrible.
Nate Paul writes a letter to Ken Paxton, his supposed co-conspirator, threatens to sue his co-conspirator, threatens to sue the Office of the Attorney General, alleging false statements made by Ken Paxton to damaging Mr. Paul's reputation, claiming inappropriate coordination to undermine the investigation, alleging obstruction to prevent the Mitty Foundation investigation, literally bringing suit against one of his, what in the real world would be a co-conspirator. What's next? A hired hitman suing for breach of contract when he doesn't get paid for the kill? Are you kidding me? This makes absolutely no sense. None. And the reason it makes no sense,
apparently it does make a little bit of sense.
No illegal relationship between Paxton.
Power Ranger, yeah, that was really bad. I'm telling you, it's a Power Ranger defense.
I understand why there's some eye rolls about Paxton doing things that most
Let's
of
give
you
this
would
a
think,
chance to form into a full Voltron.
I don't know about that. I
I don't know about that.
But here's why
Don't
Paxton
know
was
about
a
that.
little different.
I'm falling
These
asleep.
with Ken Paxton that make Nate Paul's
That
making,
guy's
they
gonna
resonated
fall
with him.
asleep. She almost
I
hit
hear
her
you.
head. She was falling
They
asleep.
very well may not have resonated with you. But I'll suggest to you, luckily, you haven't gone through what Ken Paxton has gone through for the last 8 years. Let me repeat that.
Because they didn't break the laws like he did, or they didn't get caught.
On that
Texas
state securities fraud case. In that case, Paxton believed he had been the target of a wrongful prosecution. And here's why. Number one, it had been pending for 6 years at that point, back in 2020 when all the fur was hitting the fan.
Oh, wait a minute, though. Didn't he delay it? No, I seem to remember this.
The judge that presided
I remember this.
Excuse me, objection.
Yeah.
I believe the court has said all 4 of those counts are out of this trial. He doesn't get to start talking about the merits of it.
I get to talk about his mindset.
My
No, you don't.
is he shouldn't be talking about this at all based on the court's ruling in the past.
There you go.
I'm talking about his
We're not allowed to talk about it. How can he get up there and opening
Yeah.
and give his version of it?
Exactly.
I'm talking about General Paxton's mindset as to why these
No,
claims
that's not. No, that's not the rules.
He started talking about
Oh,
it.
you're red. He's red. He knows he's caught.
Sustained.
Oh, bitch.
Let me put it this way. Ken Paxton was viewing things from a much different viewfinder than you or I might have been viewing those things through.
Yeah, because he's a criminal. Well, you might be a criminal. I'm not.
Things differently.
Some of those
through
people
a different viewfinder than you and I, because of what he had experienced, and it wasn't what you and I have experienced for the last 8 years. Let me get this through so I don't offend Mr. Harden any further. Sorry, Rusty. Here's the difference between what the House did and what you have to do. What you cannot do is assume anything. What you must do is look through the viewfinder of beyond a reasonable doubt. Again, that is a much different process than what the House did. Is there proof beyond all reasonable doubt for you to convict Ken Paxton? And I suggest to you, it is crystal clear that there is not evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. I have one simple ask. Do the right thing. I think the senator led us in prayer, asked for the Lord's help on that. Literally, do the right thing. And the right thing is to vote not guilty. Thank y'all for your time.
Okay, now what? I hope Ken Paxton is taking this wasted time to flee to Mexico. He's sitting there. He's there. Kenny's got his ass in the seat. He's looking pretty tan himself.
For the record, House managers, you have 42 minutes and 34 seconds returned to you. And you have 1 minute and 17 seconds returned to you. Managers, before you call your first witness, we need to deal with this motion with Johnny Sutton. Bailiff, will you bring Johnny Sutton forward?
Okay, grown men, let's not call ourselves Johnny. If you're over 12.
Members, we will
Or you're
resolve this
John.
motion and we'll take a short break after that.
Okay, great.
Members, jurors, I'm going to let you take your break now while we're handling this motion. Be back at 10 minutes before the hour of 3, 2:50.
Yeah, so when you can.
Sorry, I was trying to find some new music to play. Golly bless America. He's not letting me. If you want to show up like Paw Patrol or Thundercats or something, Dino Saucer. The GoBots. My daughter worked on Transformers. Just a little bit. Curtis, last I heard, Paxton wasn't in good standing with the cartel. Yeah, I can imagine he might not be the most popular person in the region, just saying. Okay, let me actually, what I'm going to do, hold on, hold the phone. Holding the phone. Oh, I actually have to pee really badly. So let me pull up first, though. We can get a little caught up. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. What time is it? Okay. Well, let's share this instead. You can read a little bit of let me see if there's more. The architect of the Capitol testified about the damage and how the Capitol was a place for Americans to visit and be inspired. Mulroe notes the conspiracy Mr. Tarrio orchestrated defiled that place, and he celebrated that. Mulroe says. I'll let you read that for a minute. I gotta go pee. I have to pee. Everybody pees. Okay, everybody pees. No, my daughter worked on it. I can't say what she did, but she did a little bit on the additional photography. Here we go. Wait, I'm gonna get some music for you right now. And I refreshed my soda. Ha! Oh yeah, what's going on with Eastman? Oh shit. Wait, is that his design? I'm so mad. I need to find it. Hold on. Eastman. Hold on. Here we go. Wait, hold on. Fucking disciplinary. Wait, sit down. Hold on. For the state bar, they're on a break, and I'm what they say. I will play it on rules, but they'll be talking. Whoa! Yeah. I'm not. Right? for me to take it in, and so I can't Oh my God, you guys, I'm so sorry about the quality. I'm the worst hostess in the world. All right, I better pick another song because we can't listen to that. Oh, here, we're going to dance. Get up and stretch. If they all broke out into a flash mob right now, let's see what happens to me. Away, take them on. Never get to can catch up. I'm glad I'm not Johnny's friend. I'm glad I'm not Peter Navarro. Oh, that was a short one. That's a shorter one. I downloaded a bunch of music from YouTube Creator Music. Sorry. They have music you can use. Oh, God. They have music you can use copyright free. Downloaded a few, but I need to download some. So hold on, please. I'll find some. Where did they go? Ooh, where did they go? Where did they go? Where did those songs go? Oh, oh, da, 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 da. Oh. Ooh. Oh, here we go. Wait, is this it? Sorry, that was a little bit. I didn't didn't get the note there. I didn't get the note there. I didn't get the note. I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll try. Just a little harder next time. Not to sorry. Oh, Can I just say, I can't wait for the Christmas season. I can't wait for the holiday season. Can I just say that? I'm a real sucker for like the season. I don't care about all this shit. I really don't. But I really love this season. I'm just saying. Okay. Let's try these new songs. These are new. So let's see what they are. Oh my God. I don't know what I could try to sing to it, but we don't know what. You have Spanish Inquisition Christmas graphics? Fantastic. I'll make ornaments out of them. I'm serious, Ted, we should do that. If you send me some graphics, I can make Christmas ornaments or Hanukkah ornaments out of them. That's great. Ted. Oh, I don't want to steal your answer. Here's another one. Let's see what this one is. This one's a little more chill. No, I think it is. It's called Casual Desire. My desire is casual. This is sad music. This is pretty good though, actually. It's pretty much just... Oh, nice, thanks. That's fun. So creative. Just for those of you who don't know, Ted created. Oh, let me remove myself. I'm going to remove myself for a minute, but Ted created the artwork that I'm using as the background for the ball. Oh, Ted, that's a great idea. Jesus probably was like, what the fuck is everybody been playing with? Not only do I have to get crucified by idiots, all the morons. Let's go back to, well, there's always this. Stop it! Lolo, beat one. Doesn't it sound like a 12-year-old made it? You know, well, I wish there was a 12-year-old around to make one for me. They'd probably make a better beat than the one I made. So, no, a 12-year-old would probably be a better beat. So, yeah, wrong. You'd be wrong. They have music too, but it sounds very much like it's not good. This is their music. Oh, I don't mind that. That I don't mind. This is, what's this? Dance pop. Dance, dance, dance. Now we dance. And then you drop the beat. Let us drop the beat. Okay, and then this is Daydream. Oh, no, that sounds terrible. Some of these are really traumatic. I don't know why. They're very triggering. Boy, that court is still in recess, guys. I'm on the Zoom for the state bar. Okay, now this is Into Space. But these, all the people who are standing on that floor should be pooping. I don't know what they're thinking. This is prime pooping time. You're a solid 15. That's Into Space. Now this is called Lo-Fi. I wish I could write music. I really can. I very much have tried. This is I like the jazz. Okay, let's see what everyone's saying. Breaking news! Breaking news! Can't type, I'm doing the worm. On its way. This is a veterans production. I think you'll find the humor in it. Oh, cool. All right, I'm going in. Update from Tina. Attorney General Letitia James is. This is from Victor Sheet. Attorney General Letitia James is how it's done and what it looks like. Not to take any of the BS arguments Trump and his team are offering. Thank you, James. Facts still matter, especially in court. New York AG wants to sanction Trump and his lawyer for repeating frivolous. Oh, that's the first one. Oh, ooh, okay. And Tina says she wants to object. She wants the objective form lawyers sanctioned. Objective form. You were with us yesterday. You heard that. James alleges that they falsely inflated by billions of. Wait, I should share this. James alleges that they falsely inflated by billions of dollars in Trump's assets, generating hundreds of millions of dollars in savings and profits. The trial date is set for October 2nd. Oh my God, darlings. The AG has requested that the judge issue 10,000 in sanctions against all of those defendants and another 10,000 in sanctions against 7 of their lawyers, led by Trump's criminal defense attorney, Christopher Kise. Is it Kise or Kise or Kise? Wow. Wow. They're still not back, so we'll stay on for a minute. Let's see what everybody's doing. What's going on, everyone? How's everyone doing? What's happening over here? What are you guys doing? Let's see what you're doing. Lawrence Tribe. I kind of like him. Sometimes I don't. At 77, for the first time in his life, Trump may suffer real consequences for his actions. In the short run, this will stoke deeper divisions and heighten animosities. In the long term, this is the safest course for democracy to take. No shit, Sherlock. I don't even want to entertain these conversations anymore. Jesus Christ. That's Bidenomics, bitch. That's right, bitch. Joyce Haley, Alabama music. Let's put it. Voting rights first. Voting rights first. No. Justice Department asked to delay Thursday hearing in criminal fraud case of Rep. George Santos until October 27th, saying the bodies have continued to discuss possible bodies, i.e., he's flipping faster than the dude down at the IHOP. If he was a pancake, big, big, done, covered in butter. But he's just alive. Oh. Literally, you guys, this is what I sit around and do all day. I just don't usually have music. I just make up words and songs and shit and watch the news. I'm sorry. That's a bit of my existence. Whoa, whoa. I'm telling you, they're not keeping my attention with this this trial. And State Bar Court is in recess still. What are they? Still have a recouping going on. I'm sorry about the music being repetitive. I will expand the catalog, I promise. Oh, we're back to this again. Is this been Rep. Steve Cohen said that he and a fellow lawmaker personally saw Boebert guiding a group of people through the Cannon office building. I mean, you know, who are they? I want some facts now. Ooh. I love Hoodlum. I love what Conan Man said. And now he wants to wear a mask. Whoa. Whoa. God, Peter Ducey is really evil. Oh, wait, here we go. Sorry. Let me see what Brandy's so sorry. Brandy's amazing. All right, wait, there was more. Did they send him yet, or what? You guys are like, Lolo. We want to know the news. We're not spending any time. That's for sure. 12 minutes. 10 minutes. Oh, girl, prolific. Whoa. Keep going, Brandy. Brandy's amazing. Brandy Buckman is amazing. Lolo, that is what revolution means, and that is what he pursued, and that is what he very nearly achieved in big rifles and explosives. That absence of extremely lethal means, no guns, bombs, that does mitigate this offense, but there was a real possibility we would wake up on 1/7 and have a full-blown constitutional crisis, 300 million Americans not having any idea who the next president would be, how that would be decided. All of the terrifying implication for military law enforcement would collapse with rule of law. Speaking of Dick, I think I have a picture of his, but I'm not entirely sure. It's not verified. There's no face in it. Get it texted. No. Billie Holiday, I wish. She's so amazing. Boebert is still investigation in Colorado. Ooh. You know who Boebert's campaign staff was? Sharona Bishop. Do you know who Sharona Bishop was? The person who helped Tina Peters break into the voting machines in Mesa County, Colorado. Sure is. Sure. Oh. They had just said the one name he gave feds wasn't even a Proud Boy, and they're trying to say he cooperated. They have just bullshit, dumb arguments for everything. Don't they? It's all dumb. Oh my God, it's all so dumb. Okay, wait. There's more. In another important sense, it increases long-term threat of this defendant's conduct because the brand of violence he promoted was one made palatable to so many. Political violence, if we're not careful, can become normalized, and that is marketing. Oh, preach! Sorry. Ontario used his abilities. Oh. Oh, whoops. Ontario, girl. There we go. Ontario used his abilities to track all his better thousands. Yeah. And he was on, what was the show he was on? Was he Gateway Pundit, or what was Enrique Tarrio like doing some online shit for? Was it? I don't think it was Alex Jones, was it? I don't really remember. Was it Alex Jones, or was it? Do you remember? Was he on? What was he on? Sanders from MTV. Maybe it was Crow. I just don't remember. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I should go back. I don't know how to do this. Oh, I don't know I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a lady. I'm just a lady. Let me see what I can do. Seeking leniency is attorney Naib Hassan. Hassan argues Tarrio didn't beat anyone, etc. He goes on to argue that what Tarrio said, comparing Pizzola to a friendly father, was just talking shit. Part of his Afro-Cuban upbringing. I compare people to founding fathers all the time. Kelly, he should go to George Washington. Ow. Sorry. A sex enhancement was given to Tarrio. Oopsie poopsie, that's right. My God, is the pooping over? No, they're not back. What the hell? They're getting paid by the minute. Ooh. Sorry, I know this is like such repetitive. Let's try this. We'll just go on to something. I know, I'm just gonna like run. Mario seduction has been like Lola in business. An excellent. Yeah. I feel like take down deep into the violence part though. Don't you yeah. Is this the small dick energy defense? What is that? I don't even understand. Okay. So Ontario also has an insurmountable volume. Oh, please. Hassan says Ontario did hurricane relief. Yeah, scam people during hurricane. Oh, cool. Right, Cindy. Ontario was involved in Toys for Tots. Come on. helped buy gifts for children at the hospital. Yes, it is. Come on. Come on. No, they're not. No, they're not. Oh. I think it's funny, because Curtis, everybody's gonna hate him. The Aryans are gonna hate him. The other gangs are gonna hate. Everyone's gonna hate him. I mean, the Aryans aren't gonna let him be part of them. They're not gonna deal with that. So yeah, I don't think they're gonna be very. The most beautiful word. And it's like overcast. Sometimes overcast days are so fun. I mean, I really like overcast days. I like the mix. I appreciate the mix. It's just it's kind of nice. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I should be. Our sunset stereos only twos outside the day and Mississippi. Well, hey, don't fuck around and you won't, baby. Our son says when he looks at sentencing disparities, he wants to focus on rules. Others have been sentenced to charges in this case, seditious conspiracy. You know the thing. Son says they take violence against officers seriously, but it wasn't the same for Dario. It doesn't apply to him, and he argues, especially when in comparison to the only person similar to Dario. Let's get back to this case, Son says. He rose. So yeah. What do you mean? They're still on a break at the Eastman thing. Is it over? It's not. Whoa, wait, whoa, what? I didn't go to that. I didn't go to that. Sorry, I know, I'm dumb. Okay. It's pretty funny. I'm sorry. Oh, wait, I'll choose. I'm sorry. Pathetic boys. They are still not back from break in Texas. Oh. Hassan argues Dario wasn't taken into custody until a year, 3 months after January 6th. This is so dumb. These are the dumbest fucking arguments in the world, and I'm not even a lawyer. His rhetoric has completely changed. In response to Dario's posting of him lighting the Capitol on fire with his fingers, he knew Proud Boys were being detained for 22 hours a day. Kelly stops. I don't even understand what that means. Dario wasn't taken into custody. His rhetoric has completely changed. In response to Terrier's posting of him lighting Capitol on fire with his fingers. He knew someone for being detained for 20 Kelly, you're arguing to me he didn't do the crime the jury convicted him of. So my point is, I'll consider what he says to me. But if someone is convicted of a very serious offense and lesser offense, and they come up and say, geez, I guess my point is, that's dumb. My point is, you don't have a point. Send her a little love. I love you, Brandy. Judge Kelly Dotario's attorney. I don't know how you can be arguing to me that he is remorseful when he isn't acknowledging the crimes he was convicted of. How am I supposed to grapple with that? How? I have 4 likes already? Wow. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go to the new music. Ouch, right? Ouchie McOuches. Oucher McOuchers. How am I supposed to grapple? How am I supposed to grapple? How am I supposed to grapple? Hey, the court is still in recess at the State Bar Court. I don't know what the fuck's. There's some major people. But I'm still on the Zoom. And if I get the Zoom up, I'll have to mute my mic. So hopefully the bullshit artists from Refresh. I know, refresh. That's what I'm doing. Sharon, you're so right. Oh, I just didn't mean to do that. Okay. There we go. All right, we're back. Thank you. Who helped me get back? Over it. Thank you, Stephanie, for helping me get back. Hassan asked the judge to listen to Tario's statement and grapple with that. Kelly comes in and says he certainly will, and Tario will have that time. The statements while offense was going on are quite revealing about his mindset. Yeah. Right. Buster Brown. What does that sign mean? What sign? Which sign? What sign? Ben's like, I'm a founding bro. That's pretty funny. Always cypher. Vote blue, not Q. That's kind of. Sorry. I'm hoping for 32. I'm looking for 32. You mean my thing in the corner? It was to cover a stupid QR code that was a Nazi QR code. So I just picked a random photo out of my photos. It's not mine. I didn't make that one. That's right. It's taking them a minute. Wait, what? Oh, we're coming back. We're coming back. Sorry, guys. That's what we gotta go to.
At this time, Mr. Sutton's representation
real
of
sorry
his
about that.
clients would not prejudice his
Hey,
testimony,
what
if
happened
any,
to my
should he later
closed
be called a
captions?
witness.
Where's
Therefore,
my
his
closed
motion to quash
captions?
is granted. However, Mr. Sutton,
There we go.
the court hereby orders you to make a diligent search for any non-privileged documents, thorough, within the scope of what was subpoenaed by the Attorney General to produce those, if any.
What?
The court will want a response to that search. The court will allow a limited exception to the rule. To the extent necessary to represent your clients, including appearing in the chamber during their testimony. You ask to be excluded from the rule, but that would take a vote by the entire body. Though you may be present in the courtroom for testimony of your clients, you may not share information between clients.
Oh, he's just yelling at
You
him.
may take your designated
Yellow
seat.
sign for the bus and then
Managers,
I'll find
please
it.
call your first witness.
Mrs. Paxton. No.
Here.
Oh, now I don't even know. God, ridiculous. Sorry.
Please bring Mr. Mateer in.
Tario judge just called break, final argument, then said the
Mr.
defense
Mateer,
didn't leave
remind you
Tario much ground to
you're
expect
still under the oath
for
you took
sedition. Oh,
earlier.
shit.
And to help the court reporters clear yes and no's, no head nods or uh-huh. Mr. Harton, your witness.
Thank you. Your Honor, before I start, could I ask if it's permissible to ask the back of the room if they can hear me, since we've all had all these microphone issues here. I want to make sure that if I'm speaking to the microphone like this, can the rear of the room hear me?
Can you hear, senators, jurors? Everyone can hear. Hands up. They hear you clearly.
All right. Thank you very much. State your name, please, sir. Mr. Mateer, how old a man are you?
Hold on, that mic's not on. You have to hit that button right there.
All right.
Hello.
Mateer. Oh, gosh. Sorry, Lieutenant Governor.
We
I
heard you the first and
apologize.
second time. Go ahead.
I am 57.
All right, Mr. Mateer, you're somewhat a victim of my warning you to try to speak up when we're talking privately, so I think the microphones have taken care of that, okay?
Yes.
And where do you live now?
I live in Rockwall.
I'm going to ask you, in the interest of time, if you would just give us maybe a minute and a half or so, a little bit about your background, where you grew up, family, professional career to where you got.
Yeah, actually grew up in central Pennsylvania, and then I met a girl from Fort Worth, and we were in D.C. together when I was working on the Hill.
You can go down a little bit.
I'll pull back a little bit about
that's
that.
good. All right.
I was working on the Hill for first Tom DeLay and then Dick Armey. Met my wife. Our relationship was going to continue, it made it clear that our relationship was going to continue in Texas. And so I went to SMU Law School. I graduated from SMU Law School, and then after law school, went to Carrington Coleman for the first part of my career.
Carrington Coleman is a Dallas law firm.
It's a large Dallas law firm, about 100 lawyers when I was there. And that was approximately, well, not approximately, it was 1990.
Stop there, and then I'll try to do a question and answer now. When you were at Carrington Coleman, were you also involved in any kind of outside activities at that time?
Yeah, since college, I'd always been involved in Republican politics. And so I started, did that in college. I was vice president and treasurer of college Republicans. And then even though, anybody that's been an associate at a law firm knows at a large law firm, you don't have a lot of time, especially if you have a family, because I had a young family, but I still stayed involved. And then I began to volunteer on religious liberty cases.
All right. Now, I'm going to ask you, we're going to try to do kind of short answers, and I'll try to jump in. You're aware, as every witness is, that we're working on a time clock here.
Yeah, I'll do my best.
I want to. That's just my fault. It's my job. Don't you worry about it. So, were there any particular organizations from the time of college or law school on that you belonged to?
Yeah, I was a member of Christian Little Society starting in law school, and then in law school also became a member of the Federalist Society.
And very briefly, Federalist Society, how would you describe it, what it is?
Federalist Society is predominantly
An
conservative
evil
and
think
libertarian
tank
lawyers
that
or they could be
develops
law students
strategies
who care about
that
the
will
rule of law,
subdue
conservative and
democracy
libertarian policies.
and
In
place
addition to your
judges
political
who
views on legal
corruptly
issues
on the
and
bench
others,
rule from a place
and
of personal
without getting into much detail about it,
opinion
how would
necessarily,
you
and
describe
sometimes not the law.
your life and your
Thank you.
religion?
Yeah, I mean, I would describe myself as an evangelical Christian.
And
AKA, I
involvement
might
in
be a
your denomination?
Christo-fascist. I don't know.
I'm a member of a Baptist church.
Okay. Are you a rhino?
Am I a rhino?
Are you a rhino? Do you know? Wait, slow down. You understand the term, do you not?
Republican in name only is the term.
Would you give the jury a benefit of your background, of your political views?
Well, I mean, I'm certainly far from right of center. I was nominated by President Trump to be a federal judge.
And your nomination wasn't approved.
My nomination was not successful after there was
Oh, this
opposition
guy's a great witness.
well, some liberal Republicans and all Democrats.
And the relevance here, I want to ask you about. Have you heard the suggestion that this impeachment is really the product of rhinos, liberals, Democrats, people that are opposed to the true conservative views? Have you heard that? Have you not?
Yeah, I've heard that said, yes.
All right. How would you apply that description to yourself?
I mean, that doesn't describe the men and women that I worked with on the 8th floor at the Office of Attorney General.
We're going to get to that in a moment, but as far as you yourself were concerned, was one of the issues that defeated your nomination comments that whether you made or didn't make that had to do with transgender politics?
Yeah, and I mean, the comments involved me speaking at a Baptist assembly in which I was alleged to make comments that people on the left perceived to be anti-transgender.
Now, at the
I should say I didn't make the comments they said that I made, but that was the allegation.
What I'm really after,
But I am still a transphobic, if that's what you want me to be. So thank you very much. No, that is, I'm not. Oh, or I'm not. It depends on where the wind's blowing.
Believed in your politics, the mission of the Attorney General's office, and the profession you had chosen.
Well, look, I've always been, since law school and throughout my career, I believe wholeheartedly in the rule of law. I mean, that's something that the Federalist Society, I think, instills in people who are members. But I believe in the rule of law, and I believe in conservative policies and conservative practice.
And have you always been conservative without going into specific this issue or that issue? Have you viewed yourself very conservative on social? You have to wait me finish. You have to let me finish.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's not often that people like me get a chance to.
Well, I'm in a different.
Wait a second. You have to wait. Not often people.
This is fucking amazing, by the way. That's his witness.
Chief of staff of some organizations, so I'm taking the liberties with it. Okay. And I'll stop you if you're volunteer. Just let me finish, and I'll try to let you finish. I'm really, in terms of social issues in the political world of today, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank yourself?
10 or 11.
Okay. Now, did you go somewhere else after Carrington Coleman in Dallas?
Yeah, after Carrington Coleman, a group of us who were Carrington Coleman lawyers formed our own law firm called Rosenthal, Reynolds, Mateer, and Schaefer.
Where are you practicing now?
Where am I practicing now? First Liberty
called
Institute.
Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
It's a national religious liberty law firm. It's actually the largest
new show, Prison Boys,
firm in America that's dedicated
to
defending religious liberty.
And indeed, since at some time recently, have you participated in several Supreme Court cases?
Yeah, since I've been back, I came back in October of 2020. We've had 4 Supreme Court cases, including 3 very important precedent-setting cases.
Well, were all of those cases oriented toward what one might say the religious right?
Yeah, I mean, probably the most infamous or famous one is Coach Joe Kennedy, the praying football coach, who the school district up in Washington fired him because he was kneeling at the 50-yard line after a game. That case took 8 years. We just celebrated him returning to the football field this last Friday.
Now, I want to ask you, why did you, and were you at First Liberty at the time you joined the Attorney General's office?
I was. I started at First Liberty in 2010. I started at the Office of Attorney General in March of 2016.
What was your job when you started with the Attorney General's office?
I was First Assistant Attorney General.
Have you heard of, when did you first meet Ken Paxton?
I was trying to, I've been thinking about that. I would have met Mr. Paxton sometime prior to probably starting at First Liberty, and I would have been introduced by Kelly Shackelford.
And at the time that you began with the office, what calendar year was it?
What time of year?
What year?
It was March of 2016.
And by that time, how long had you known Mr. Paxton before you began?
I would guess it would have been probably almost 10 years, certainly of him. I didn't know him well, but I would have known of him those 10 years.
Who hired you?
Mr. Paxton.
In what way? Did you meet with him? Did he call you? How did it happen?
Yeah, he actually approached me a few months before March and had asked me if I would consider coming to Austin. I told him I didn't want to come to Austin. Quite frankly, I had my dream job of being general counsel at First Liberty. Today, I have my dream job.
So is the answer he asked you to join him in Austin?
He did.
So,
Well, and I went home and I agree. He asked me to pray about it. And my wife and I did pray about it. And we felt like we were supposed to come down here.
All right. And then have you ever heard him suggest in public announcements and descriptions and defenses of his charges and so that he hardly knew you guys?
That he what?
That he hardly knew you. If he were to say that he hardly knew you, would that be accurate? Or
I think
you always have to let me finish.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Would that be accurate or inaccurate?
It would be inaccurate. I think he knew me very well.
Now, after he hired you, when you went on, I'm going to be wanting to talk to you about the senior staff at the Attorney General's office. And I have a diagram here I want to put up, and I want to try to do this briefly. And that is a diagram of would you put the exhibit up for me, please? Thank you. Give the other side. I'll give the other side. Thank you. Now, I'm going to try to go real quickly through this.
Counselor.
But what I'm after here is,
Counselor.
excuse me.
Are you offering this as an exhibit?
As a
put into
demonstrative
evidence? To put into evidence?
Excuse me, just as a demonstrative exhibit for him to just talk about. If you could, would you tell the jury, and I want to try to do this briefly and move pretty quickly, okay? If you could tell the jury how this describes what the roles of each were. And I'm going to go, for instance, your immediate below you was who?
Well, below me, not to the side.
All right.
Below me are the deputies.
Yes.
So the way the Office of Attorney General was organized when I was there and when I came in is there were divisions. So it starts on the left with Ruth Ann Thornton, who would have been Director of Child Support. And it goes all the way across to Darren McCarty, who would have been the Deputy Attorney General for Civil Litigation. And everybody in between, Lacey Mays, Deputy for Administration, Mark Penley, Deputy for Criminal Justice.
I think it'll be important to understand your testimony.
really? Yay, Ted. We're the place to be. Yeah, baby. I love Brandy. She's amazing.
They do. I mean, they run a division in the Attorney General. The Attorney General's office is 4,200 employees, approximately 800 lawyers. And so spread out on this chart that's before us are the various divisions of the office.
All right, thank you. So over to the right, or your left as we look at this chart, but to the right on the chart, Mr. Bangert, what was his responsibility?
So Ryan Bangert was the Deputy First Assistant. So
now, let me ask you this. If one were to describe where he comes down on the political scale liberal, moderate, conservative. Obviously, each of these are Republican, are they not?
As far as I know, each of them are Republicans, yes.
All right. And Mr. Bangert, how would you describe his background and his views in terms of the way he dealt with issues that affect people in this country?
Mr. Bangert has similar views to mine.
All right.
He's a person of faith who's also a very, very good lawyer. He'd worked for Josh Hawley in Missouri. He'd been a partner at Baker Botts. That very much aligns with me and quite frankly, all of our leadership.
And then if you go to the right of you on the chart, to the left of us as we look at it, who is that?
That's Missy Carey, and she's a career OAG. Actually, her father was a deputy attorney general, and the joke was Missy grew up at the office of attorney general.
Do you have any evidence that she's a member of the deep state?
She's not a member of the deep state. She cares deeply about the office of attorney general in the state of Texas.
Now, if we look at the different persons here, there's been a lot of talk about the whistleblowers. Obviously, you would be one, are you not?
I'm one of the 8 who signed the letter.
However, when we hear about the whistleblower lawsuit, did you file a lawsuit?
I did not file a lawsuit.
So as you sit there now, do you have any litigation pending against the Attorney General's office?
I do not.
Okay. Do you know whether Mr. Bangert filed a lawsuit?
He did not.
Are both of you among the 8 that sent a letter to the Attorney General announcing that what you had done, and after you had been to the FBI on September the 30th of 2020?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Okay. Now, as we go forward real quick, what's the background of Mr. Brickman?
Yeah, so Mr. Brickman, he served as deputy AG for policy and strategic initiatives. The Attorney General and I recruited him into the office. He had been chief of staff for Governor Bevin, who was the Republican governor in Kentucky, and he had lost.
Excuse me, and widely known as a very conservative governor.
Governor Bevin was one of the most conservative governors in the country.
All right, go ahead.
And I had met Blake the first time I'd mentioned Federalist Society. One of the things that Federalist Society did is they brought together leadership from governor's offices and AG's offices.
And Mr. Mateer, were each of you very active, not just in your states, but nationally in conservative Republican politics, many of which considered the evangelical movement?
Yes, we were.
All right. And then who hired Mr. Brickman?
Well, ultimately, the Attorney General hired Mr. Brickman, but on my recommendation.
All right. And then if we go further, we have Mr. Maxwell there. Mr. Maxwell was there when you got there, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Maxwell, the way deputies is on the 8th floor, there's a conference room. Mr. Maxwell would sit to my right. He was the director of law enforcement.
And he actually had been there quite some time and had a career before you ever arrived, correct?
Yeah, I think he approaches 50 years of law enforcement. He's actually in the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame.
Mark Penley, who is he?
So Mark Penley came in after I came in. We had an opening for Deputy Attorney General of Criminal, and we interviewed several people. Mr. Penley had known Mr. Paxton for years. I think they'd been friends for over 20 years. They actually practiced together at a Dallas law firm known as Strasburger and Price.
Mr. Penley was also a career federal prosecutor.
He was, after he was I think he was an associate at Strasburger and Price, and then he went to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Dallas.
On the scale of 1 to 10, where would you yourself rank Mr. Penley in terms of conservative versus moderate?
I mean, again, I put him with the same as me and Bangert. I mean, he's at the end of the spectrum.
Mr. Maxwell, we talked about, is one of the ones who filed a lawsuit, correct?
Right.
And then Mr. Penley is one who did file a lawsuit, correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
So thus far, and Mr. Brickman filed a lawsuit, right?
Yes.
We've talked about 5 of the whistleblowers so far, 2 who did not file a lawsuit, and 3 who did. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then to the right of Mr. Penley, who is that?
That's to my left. You're Ryan Vassar.
All right.
And
what do you know about the background of Mr. Vassar?
Ryan Vassar was a protege of Brantley Starr, now Judge Brantley Starr. Mr. Vassar had clerked for Don Willett.
Totally understand, Gal. No worries. We're just sticking with it so we finish out this day, but
really Brantley, Judge Starr,
it's pretty hard to listen to.
And he quickly established himself as one of the smartest, go-to, hardworking young lawyers in the agency.
And then Leslie Mays.
Yeah, Lacey is another person. She actually, I think, started as a elementary school teacher and then went to law school. She was identified by the former deputy for civil litigation, Jim Davis, as a rising star.
And she had also did not join the lawsuit.
She did not file a lawsuit now.
All right.
She's currently Deputy Attorney General of Tennessee.
She's the number 2 person in the state of Tennessee now, is she not, in the Tennessee Attorney General's office?
She is, sir, yes.
Right. After this all over, were you aware she could not find a job anywhere in government in Texas?
I'd heard that, yes.
All right. So to finish up on this particular subject, now that we've looked at who everyone was, to your knowledge, when each of these people joined the Attorney General's office here in the state of Texas, how did they, how would you describe their mission in terms of their devotion to the same things the Attorney General spoke very broadly and widely about?
Yeah, with all these individuals have in common, again, I told you I'm a Baptist, so I think of 3 C's. Okay, and the 3 C's are calling, character, and competence.
And what is calling? What do you mean?
Calling, and I know that.
Wait.
Sorry.
I actually had just 2 more words. If you wait,
I
just wait
can't with
just another
this.
few seconds.
I just almost can't handle this guy.
What
He's
do
like
you mean by
freaking me out.
calling?
Making me
I know
nervous.
calling sounds like a spiritual term, but for me, it's really mission and it's commitment to the mission. And so when you're looking for people, certainly in leadership positions, whether it's at the Office of Attorney General, my current job at First Liberty, first thing I want in someone is someone committed to the mission. They're passionate about the mission.
And what were you committed to about serving as the first assistant for Ken Paxton's Attorney General's office?
We are committed to the rule of law and to conservative governance.
What's the second C?
The second C is competence. So it's one thing to be passionate, like I'm passionate about baseball, but I could never have played in the major leagues, right? But I'm passionate about it, but I'm not confident. So in addition to having passion, you've got to have competence. You've got to be the best. And I always felt like, whether it's at First Liberty, I want the best. At the Office of Attorney General, in senior leadership, you want lawyers who are skilled, people who are the best in their profession.
So the third C?
Is character. Because of the responsibilities, you have to have men and women who have integrity. And I actually would share this with new employees at the office, because this is what we wanted. In someone at the Office of Attorney General, you wanted passion, you wanted competence, excel, and you wanted character.
Mr. Mateer, in 2015, when you joined the Texas Attorney General's office, 2017, 2018, did you feel that office was in sync with the views you've just been expressing?
I think it was.
And then really 2018, 2019, did you think that office was in sync with the values that you've been describing?
I believe so, yes.
At that time, did you believe in Ken Paxton and all he was saying?
Absolutely, and I believe that General Paxton also possessed these characteristics. I wouldn't have come to Austin had I not believed he was a true believer.
All right. Did you ultimately change your opinion? And all I want is a yes or no.
I did.
And now he's a true deceiver.
You on that road. When is the first time that you ever met? You're going to find me doing that a lot. I'm not used to it, but I'm going to do it a lot. When is the first time you met Nate Paul?
I've never met Nate Paul.
Oh, never?
Never.
When's the first time you heard his name?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about that. It had to have been sometime in 2020.
Do you have any reason to believe when it was?
Well, I've recently seen an email highlighting a public information request that I believe was sent at the end of 2019. It's possible that in early 2020, I heard the name the first time, but sitting here, my best recollection is I don't recall hearing his name until probably sometime in the spring of 2020.
So there was I think no one's going to quarrel with the idea that on August the 14th, 2019, this man that you still never met, Nate Paul, had a search warrant executed on his house and business, four different locations, um, by a combined task force of different agencies, Department of Public Safety, Securities, FBI, all on his house. And I don't think there's going to be any question that he strongly objected and vociferously opposed what had happened and what he contended was the way. Do you have any, or did you have any memory of noticing anything about that in the year 2019?
I do not remember noticing that, no, sir.
So let's go then to the circumstance in which you would have first, if I could, by one, let me, if I could, I moved to introduce Exhibit 6.
Oh no! I was singing the whole time. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I sang so good. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. God, this is why I need another monitor. That's what I need. I need a monitor where I can have like the content that I'm going through and the chat. Sorry. I'm going to figure it out. Actually, I think my daughter's building herself a PC so I can have her old desktop Mac and I can use that. Because she wants a gaming PC. She's a much bigger gamer than I am. I know. Well, okay, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought. All right, well, here we go. Maybe the higher power or whoever is up there was making it work. Okay, here we go. Right now, Tario is essentially, and here we go. Tario, even with all my doubts, I persisted and attended another rally on December 12th. As some attorneys claim, I do enjoy the spotlight. On 12/12, I dragged myself to see 200 rally goers, but I saw 1,500. Tario said he felt dread. He no longer wanted to be in the spotlight then, he adds. Right now, Tario is essentially putting on a defense, but says he was his own worst enemy. His stupidity on December 12th got him arrested on January 4th, and his hubris led him to believe he was a victim targeted unfairly. He doesn't believe that now, apparently. Well, at least in this moment, because he needs you to believe that he didn't believe that, or he doesn't believe that. What is it? Tario, all of my actions leading to this point had a fork in the road, and I didn't pick up that fork. I wasn't hungry. I had a chance to calm things down, and I didn't. I said I did. I said I tried to calm people down, but then now I'm saying I didn't. But I chose not to. Watching the events at the Capitol unfold again, I again chose not to be the voice of reason. Yes, because I was sitting in my hotel drinking champagne. Ty admits to contradicting that later on January 6th and 7th, telling Proud Boys he was so proud of them. I believe I made those statements to appease them and so I wouldn't get pantsed in the locker room. Working with law enforcement led half of the Proud Boys as an org to disavow him, he says. So really, he doesn't have any friends anymore. So why are you doing that? And now Jenny Cohn comes in with some receipts for Roger Parloff. And now showing this one, agent points out Tario's first parlor post, POYB, has gotten 4.6K likes, 4,600 likes. His second post, Don't Fucking Leave, had 16,000. Well, I guess you were really acting. You're a fine actor, Mr. Tario. Is that what you're trying to tell us, darling? You're trying to tell us you're just a fine actor and you've just been, you know what? It was method acting, darling. It was method acting, and you did such a good job. My God, you'll get the Academy Award. I will nominate you personally, darling. I will, because you are so very right. Yes, you were just a fine actor. That's all. That's all. That's all. Boy, the crybabies are crybaby. The crybabies are crybaby. It would have been really good. It would have sounded great. It would have been amazing. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think I can watch much of that Paxton trial today. I don't know. We might have to go to sound bites on that bitch. Bam, bam. Tara admits to counter. Oh, no. That's right. He said that. Sorry, I already read that. Tario's voice finally cracks as he says he lost someone very important to him during the process. He grips the podium. He thanks the DOJ and the court for allowing him to attend her funeral. I believe this is a great aunt. My great aunt, what was her name? Wait, it'll come to me. Anyway, thank you. Tario, standing before you today, I feel I failed as a brother, fiancé, a nephew, as a son. I think fiancé for men is one E. I will always regret making decisions that did not put them first. Well, I mean, I would have regretted them if I hadn't continued to make them all the way up until this moment when I need you to believe that I'm very sorry. I will always regret making decisions. Oh, wait, I've said that already. I've taken care of my grandfather for most of my life, and now I failed him, and now that's right. I fucked around, and now I'm finding out. But you know who's really finding out? My grandpa. My grandpa's finding out because he's the one who now doesn't have a caretaker. Good job, Henry. Tario, I've lost friends, businesses. I've matured hard. But the cost of that maturity has been steep. My deepest regret is how others were affected. His voice cracks. He's sniffs. To the men and women of law enforcement who answered the call that day, I'm sorry. This is good. This is helping me. This is actually like workshop. This is great. This is really great. I'm honored and humbled by this process. Gotcha, Chad. Hey, meta. Meta. Isn't this so meta? Let's not be meta. Meta. Don't be so meta. Meta. I'm honored and humbled to be here with you today. I don't care. I don't. The trial's going on. I don't even care. We're going to just stick with Enrique. Standing before you today, I feel I failed. Oh, wait, I've already read that. God damn it. I'm sorry. Sorry, I failed you. I failed you. I have failed you. It's true. I apologize to lawmakers. There's no place for political violence, he says. He respects the prosecution, but fundamentally disagrees with their characterizations of him. Why do you characterize me that way? Why do you continue to sling the arrows of telling people what I've done? How can you do that to me? How can you do that to me? How? More lies. There is no place for political violence. Oh, you're welcome. Have a good rest of your day, Curtis. Be careful out there. Bet he yells T-Nope 1 on the way out too. Oomph, you're absolutely fucking correct. I am curious to see how much time he's going to get. I mean, wouldn't it be, well, it wouldn't be. It'd be interesting if someone was like, yeah, you know what? You're right, Enrique. Case dismissed. John Wilkes Booth thought he was a patriot too. Fuck these guys. That's right. Thank you. That's right, Rick. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'm not a political zealot. Changing the results of an election was not my goal. I didn't even realize you could change the results of an election. With everything that is inside me, I wish everything that happened that day didn't happen. I just want to add that. I mean it. No, really. When I get back home, I want nothing to do with groups or activisms or politics. I just want to sit down at the local biker bar and pretend like I'm one of those guys. And yes, I do. I pinky swear. That's right, Bernstein. Translation a wonderful account. Please do follow them. Tario pinky swears he won't ever try to overthrow the government again. I don't know what you're talking about. Skeletired. This is a good account. Skeletired. Daria's lawyer inexplicably places a plate of fresh chocolate chip cookies on the judge's desk. The entire room is sniffing and smiling quite a lot. The trick appears to be working. Wait, I got it. Sorry, we gotta give some love here. We gotta give some love. That's fucking. Oh wait, what happened? Oh, okay. Winner, chicken dinner. I pray for unity for this entire country, I said. I sit down at the table, my face is flushed, and I wipe my eyes with a balled up tissue, which probably has some boogers in it. He leans forward on his elbows and faces Judge, cupping his face in a sprightly little way. He just cups his face with his hands and leans in and turns his head slightly askew as he faces the judge. Just do your best. Do your best, baby. Judge me. Before a sentence is rendered, Hassan asked Terrio to be able to partake in the First Step Act. What's that mean? What is 3 out of 10 would not recommend, even as an extra. Mama, ooh, I didn't mean to make you cry. I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all. Carry on, carry on. 'Cause it doesn't really matter. Thank you. What a lovely invocation. No, it's one of my favorites. No. First step. Does that mean like time off for good behavior or something like that? What does that mean? What does that mean? I know I'm not very good at this. The Academy Awards. I see we're right in tune with the rest of Twitter. The rest of shitter. What do they mean? Ah! Kelly says he will take a 10-minute recess. I gotta go poop. And then impose my sentence. As Kelly, I thought it was Meta. I'm sorry. As Kelly rises to exit, Terrio right away turns his face to his family and winks. And putting his finger aside of his nose. The judge is still at the bench technically, so his attorney reminds him to turn around, and he does right away. And then Terrio blows a kiss to the judge. I mean his family. All right. Well, I've got to pee. That's for sure. No, I need to order some food is what I need. I need some food. I don't have any food in my house. And clearly I'm not getting out alive on this one. Jesus. Jesus. Do 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 do. I'm gonna repost that. I got so much great news coming into Twitter that we gotta share. Criminals raising money for fucking criminals. Yep. Yep, it's true. Propaganda Network. Yeah, Skeletired, you're amazing. From your handle to your responses, you're pretty fucking funny. Okay, so let's put on, I don't know. Gosh, I just don't really want to listen to that trial. Is that bad? I'm sorry. Let's see what else is happening. Ugh. Sorry. Yes, that's me. Okay, 10 minutes. Oh my God, let's figure out something. Oh, you know what? For you. I got something for you. This is what we're doing. Fuck this shit.
It's good to go.
10 minutes of this will bring you back.
Welcome back, everybody.
There's Bruno. Remember Brucey passed away, his dog? This is Bruno, the puppy who's growing up.
And it's
This
early.
is Tony.
Really early
He's
in the
from
morning.
AB
Gotta go get a
Camp.
ferry.
We love
Bruno, go back
Tony
in
so
your seat.
much.
Back in your seat. Come on, back.
Tony's a doll, and he lets us respond.
Bruno, back on your bed. Go on.
So I'm gonna
We're
let
gonna get a ferry from the top of the South Island to the bottom of the North Island of New Zealand.
Okay. Oh, he has said he won't shout it on the way out. Oh, okay.
To Napier from Wellington.
He
get the back of the truck all kitted out with its new canopy.
Mr. Pillow has been broke for a while. He borrowed money to run that
the perfect truck camper to go camping with. All right, everybody. I will bring you back en route to the ferry, and then we'll check out what the ferry is like. I've got a cabin on this ferry, so should be interesting. So bring you back on the road.
All right. I'm muting for a minute. Let's just watch Tony and like try and get to a normal, like whatever normal place is in our brains. And I'm gonna smoke some fucking weed. I hope everybody's able to smoke today or do whatever it is that suits.
All right, everybody, we're almost at the ferry. Got to go through the check-in procedure, and then I'll bring you back. All right, everybody, we're all parked up, ready to board the ferry. So we got a bit of a wait. What is it? 20 past 6 in the morning. The ferry goes at, well, we start boarding at 6:45, and then it's a 4-hour. It takes about, when you take all the faff in and everything else, like over 4 hours to get for the ferry to get from South Island to North Island. So we'll bring you back when we're driving onto the ferry. Bruno will be staying in the truck on the way there. I'm just going to let him out now and have a pee and bring you back then. Right, we're about to board. So I'll film us driving onto the ferry. Cheers. Hey, Bruno, get back. Bruno, get back. Bruno's trying to jump forward here. All right. There you go. Hang on, Bruno. All right, I'll bring you back, everybody. Okay, got my cabin, B59, which is here. All right, let's check it out. Huh, cozy. Like a little prison cell. Look at this. Wow. Okay, and have I got a view? Hey, I've got a view. Nice, not too shabby. It's all right, looks sort of clean enough. It's a bit dark in here.
Did I hear about the Heritage Foundation? Oh, girl, have I heard it? Oh, girl, I've heard of it. Oh, yeah. Bitch, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, to smoke. I'm going to keep smoking.
In.
Oh, we've got a little bit of a break here.
The desk, not too bad. You know what they say?
Well, that's kind of cool.
The worst hut is better than the best tent.
And they, you know what else they say? If you are in a country that doesn't necessarily have Western toilets, that's the term they use.
Come back and have a kip.
Use a Western toilet every time you get a chance.
Yeah.
That's my.
So there's linens and everything else. So I'm on the Blue Bridge ferry, and there's one of 2 inter-island ferries. There's Inter-Islander and there's Blue Bridge. I've had really bad experiences with Inter-Islander in the past, so I only go with Blue Bridge now. But this looks okay. This is fine. This is better than being downstairs. And let's have a look outside.
Pinky in the brain.
Yeah. That is Picton.
You know, I have this new.
There is a nature reserve island. You can't really make it out. Through all the sea mist on the window
turns itself off, which actually I think is great.
Right. So let's go and get something to eat.
It's an ooze pen.
It's
not bad.
Bruno, I've got to stop doing that. Bruno is, he'll be fine. He's got water. He's got his bed. He's got a slipper, one of his mummy slippers.
Oh.
His little chew toy. So yeah, let's go check out what the food is, and Let's get something to eat. I just thought before we go and get something to eat, let's have a look outside.
This is New Zealand, by the way.
Ah. So you can go out and there's a viewing deck. Cool. Check this out.
I gotta get my, I gotta clean my tablet. I have to figure out how to clean it.
I don't know how they're sleeping with that racket. Look at this viewing deck. This must be a helicopter rescue point. Check it out. So that's the town of Paxton. It's the gateway basically to the South Island. So if you come to the South Island of New Zealand and you take the ferry from the North Island, this is where you'll end up. So Bruno is down there inside because all vehicles with pets are kept undercover. Although, look at those poor cows. You see those? Those double-sized trucks have got cows in the top of them. So what they do is they winter the cattle. They move them across the islands to the North Island where it's warmer. And that might be what they're doing there. But check it out. Paxton on a... It might turn out to be a nice day. All right, let's go get some food. Yep, got my big breakfast. Okay, I'm going to tuck into this and bring you all back. Right.
Oh my god,
My
you know what I love?
We
I
are
love
just
Irish breakfast.
pulling away now, look.
I fucking love that shit. I will eat
See
that
they-
shit up, except for the black pudding.
Lifted up the barricade.
Do you guys like
We're
that?
just moving.
Do you guys like that?
We're going to be going through the Marlborough Sounds, which is just absolutely spectacular. And I happen to live just at the end of the Marlborough Sounds. So I see it every day, but it is absolutely beautiful. So I'm just going to enjoy my coffee. And I'll bring you back for some of the views of the Marlborough Sounds. Because I think you're absolutely going to love it. Oh, right. Bye-bye, Paxton.
I don't know.
Wellington, here we come.
You're gonna like the potatoes?
Back in the cabin, they just made an announcement that we're expecting a moderate southerly swell.
Oh, good.
So, and they've just given a
I gotta go
warning.
check
So
Brand.
this should be interesting. It's
I'm
gonna be a
getting
bit
really
rocky.
high. This is a really high day.
I've been on one of these where
Unexpected.
they've handed out ice
Quite
chips and
high.
sick bags, and that was in a 4-5 meter swell, and people were just, oh, it was terrible. Hopefully, this is quite calm. We'll see. Right, I'll bring you back for the view of the Sounds. Okay, we're in the Sounds. Now, it is howling, absolutely howling. So I'm tucked in here against the wall, but let me just turn the camera around so you can...
Wait, I'm just gonna share this for a second. Insider, girls with the time machine. I'm your granddaughter. Really? Boys with the time machine. You guys gotta try this. Insider, that's brilliant. Oh my god, that's amazing. Okay, here we go. We're going back.
But it is stunning. The water is so clear. It's absolutely beautiful.
He's still
You
interviewing.
want to see how windy it is or feel how windy it is. If I stand just out here,
Any second? Okay. Oh, thank
it
you.
is blowing hard.
She's not back yet.
So, yeah, the Marlborough Sounds.
Yeah, she's not back yet.
Look at that.
201. This one.
Staggeringly beautiful. All right, it's freezing cold. I gotta go in. It's winter here in New Zealand. Yeah.
They're
Oh,
new.
my hand's getting freezing. I'm freezing.
Okay, hold on, Tony. Hold on. We got some justice to be served up. We got to serve up some justice here, baby. And we're back. I'm following you. I don't follow many people. I'm going to fucking follow you. You're amazing. Skeletired. I know you're not listening right now, but I'll tell you right now, you're amazing. You're funny. You're funny. I like funny people, and you, my friend, are fucking funny. Judge Kelly is at the bench already. Says I have sensitive facts and the defendant on the council. Tara's back in the courtroom with both arms and cast at a doctor's notes, playing he's allergic to prison. Dude, or chick, or he, she, or they. I love you. I love you. Uh-oh, show additional offensive. And the number is. And the survey says. Drum roll. I love everyone. I love people. I love people. Tario's sitting up straight, has a pile of papers in front of him. Let's start with the nature of the offense. I want to be clear in all these January 6 cases, we have to consider overall 1/6 event and then nature and circumstances of the particular defendant. Blah! Bitch. I'm Madonna, bitch. I feel like we should have music, but I know that's not true. That's not true. It's naughty. I'm naughty. That's naughty. Girl. Ah! Okay. I've said many of these things before, so those of you who had been with us for sentencing to all defendants in this case, this will sound familiar. But don't let me lose you. Don't. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Am I sharing the wrong thing? I'm sorry. God, I'm dumb. I need another monitor. I'm gonna get another monitor. I'm gonna figure it out. Bet you I can get one at like yeah. I'm gonna build this studio so that I'm gonna be your go-to for by the minute news, and I'm gonna be much better at it than I am right now. Love you. What happened on 1/6 physically damaged property and hurt people? I want to pause there because I think I skipped through that a little too much when trying to get to things that are unique, hard to qualify. It's important to pause and acknowledge law enforcement, Kelly says. He's going to half-ass his sentence. Please, Ray, let's not. Let's hope. Let's hope for good things. I'm a hero. They won't put me in prison. Oh, Strictly Christo, I love you too. Strictly Christo has come to some of our spaces. I felt very honored. Big account. Very funny. I love funny. Funny people are so funny. Funny. All right, I'll try this. I'm sorry. I love you guys. I hope you like me too. Kelly, we should acknowledge damage to building done in law enforcement officers who provided testimony in this case and all who stood in harm's way. They have physical injuries from that day. Many have struggled mentally, per the statements I've received. Yeah. It is the singular most horrible day of political violence I've witnessed. And that's saying something because as I can remember being very young and understanding some of the crap that was happening in the world because my parents made us talk about it. So there you go. I am glad my parents are dead so that they didn't see this. I am glad that my father at least survived to see Barack Obama elected president. And I remember him crying with joy when Obama was inaugurated because he was so happy that the country he lived in finally elected a man who deserved to be president and was Black. And he was so glad that his country did that. I'm just... Oh, God damn, I went to the wrong place. I'm sorry. They've suffered and are suffering. They are heroes and they do deserve our debt of thanks for all of us protecting an essential process of our government that day. Yep. In fact, the process of our government, really. You can thank them by giving them the max sentence. Here we go. Thank you, Outspoken. Oops. I mean, I'm not a fan of people being incarcerated, but this is such an incredible delusion for people in this country that they need to understand that you cannot do this. This is not how you address your grievances. As Judge Kelly tells Tario how January 6th broke the tradition of the peaceful transfer of power, Tario is looking to pews and Hassan taps him on the shoulder to look back. They are not sorry. They will do it again. And I sincerely hope that they are incarcerated in different locations and are alone. What happened that day didn't honor the founders. It's the kind of thing they wrote the Constitution to prevent. Many Americans, about half the country, didn't like the outcome that day, and some had questions about the way the election proceeded in some states. It's not true. Not about half the country. Okay, stop. Thank you, Skeletired. As the sentence comes in, I'm done with my jokes. This guy did bad things and never felt remorse until it was spanking time. We need law and order. I hope Tario's leader, Trump, also does jail time. Thanks, Brandy, for the excellent coverage. We believe, we agree, Skeletired. Thank you. Not half the country. Thank you, Catherine. I love the people that I follow because I think it puts your follower or not people you follow or, oh, maybe not. I guess it just puts big accounts. That's a good account. Maybe I should follow her. Yeah, maybe I should. Okay. And that day, she learned how Twitter worked. Not half. Not half. Not half. I love it. I love it. I love it. See, there are more of us than them. There are more of us who believe in the rule of law and democracy than there are on the other side. I believe this. I understand this is an algorithm, but I also will tell you that I believe this. Because I follow a lot of shitty people too. So I'm going to say, like, my algorithm is, you know, some protested, filed lawsuits, Kelly says, of the peaceful public, Kelly. But even though what happened on 1/6 was bad enough, we can take heart that the vast, vast majority of those dissatisfied with that election in one way or another didn't resort to force or violence. Right. Jim had questions. And the point of it, the point of it is, An even smaller number of people led an organized effort to do so. Kelly says Tario was motivated by revolutionary zeal. The undisputed leader had docks featuring schemes to take over other government buildings. The 1776 returns dock. Fuckers. And right after the rally for 1-6 was announced, Tario formed the Ministry of Defense, as Biggs urged him to get radical, get real men. Kelly notes Tario instructed people in the Ministry of Self-Defense not to wear colors which obscured their ID by law enforcement officers and told them to bring certain tools. Oh, let's hope. Let's hope there is some justice here. Kelly says the conspiracy among Proud Boys ended up with 200 men amped up for battle encircling the Capitol, and he notes they were physically led by his co-defendant. So yeah, it doesn't matter if your bitch ass wasn't there, stupid. You're dumb. You did it. And you're not sorry. And you do it again. And you want to be a martyr for these dumb fuck morons who can't find their dick with both hands. And the bitches they marry. Sorry. Got carried away. I got carried away. If I'm on mute again, I'm going to be really mad. Okay, good. Phew. That was supposed to be clapping. Check the Salvation Army type spots. Make sure it's the court. What? Oh, yeah. No, I understand. Sorry. Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't want to live in a country. Yeah. I'm okay with rule of law. And if I make a mistake, I should be held accountable too. That's the kind of the way it goes. I'm so glad you guys are here with me. I love it. Are you going to do the little girl? I love it. I feel like it was a lot more than 200 men amped up. I agree. It's so nice of you. My God, you guys have spent, although some of you have spent a lot of time with me. I'm very grateful for you watching. Who could have known? Oh, would it be December 30th, 2020, Jim Stewartson? I mean, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. I have the smartest friends. I have the smartest friends. I have the smartest friends in the world. Oh, yes, I have the smartest friends. I have the smartest friends. I have the smartest friends. Oh, Ted says I said it in August. Is it a contest? Oh, not about J6. A do 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 a do 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 do. Oh, darling, I want you to go to jail. Kelly, Tario's not being present did serve some strategic purposes. It did allow his lieutenants to rile up the crowd, and it did, from his perspective, insulate him in just the way he's arguing now, distanced him from what, in fact, unfolded that day. But too bad, bitch, Kelly continued. That's useful to someone as smart as Mr. Tario. And then before the day was out, publicly putting on social media, I'm proud of my boys and my country, and don't fucking leave. Yeah, we just saw that. Yeah, we just saw that. Do 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 do. Yeah, look at this is Michael Fanone, hero, being attacked brutally and almost killed by the fucking mob. You fucking assholes. You fucking blue line bitches. Fucking chuds. That's what you're standing up for, you stupid chud lovers. Don't fucking leave. Kelly repeats. And I don't know how close the government argues to me, how close we were to not completing the transfer of power. I don't know how close we came or didn't come, but I don't have to conclude how close in order to say, bitch, boom, bitch went down. Do you remember that in Scream? Bitch went down. Sydney, super bitch. That's the only good thing Rose McGowan ever did. Sorry, not sorry. She's a weird, cringy bitch. Kelly, what happened was extremely serious and a disgrace. And I have Mr. Tario publicly putting out there, don't fucking leave, and privately to another close confidant. Make no mistake, we did this. Kelly repeats it, hitting each word. Make no mistake, we did this. Don't fucking leave is what the prison guards are going to be telling him for the next 25 years, too. Ouch. 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 He seems upset. Yeah, bless you and your thumbs. So true. Oh. Kelly also notes another message from Tario in the chat after January 6th when Tario said, God didn't put me there at the Capitol on 1/6 for a reason. We would still be there. Oh yeah, he seems like he seems like he was super reticent. Yeah. Seems like he was super hesitant to like jump in there. Yeah. Yeah, that's what that sounds like. Or yep. Yep, I'm buying it. I'm buying it. I'm buying it. Aren't you buying it, Judge? I'm buying it. Aren't you buying it? I'm buying it. Aren't you buying it? Okay. Do 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 do. Oh my god. It's killing me. It's killing me. Can't rush good stuff. Feel like a substantial sentence is coming. I don't know. I feel that all the time, and then they are kind of like womp womp womp. Kelly says it's not lost on him that someone as savvy and charismatic as Tario is, but he notes he has found himself on the wrong end of 2 prior criminal prosecutions, and now for this most recent offense, a very, very serious one indeed. It's true. It's true. It's true. I said it's true. You copy and paste. Prison, how much? Hey, come on. She's doing the best she can. Make it a seriously long sentence, really. Bethel Henry. Bethel Henry. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Oh, we get to Sesame Street. Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? Hey. He was not the top of the conspiracy. So, Roger fucking Stone. Get him, get him, get him, get him. Get Roger Stone. Kelly, the way he exercised his leadership in the Proud Boys, apart from the facts in this case, I don't want to put too much weight on that. I think his capabilities as a leader when we talk about deterrence are something that play a role, but it played a role in trial. Well, that's interesting. What do you mean, Judge? What do you mean? 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 Kelly continues, how he conducted led the organization generally, but to some degree, this kind of bleeds into his ability to speak on issues. And at the end of the day, while some evidence was at trial, it's not. None of that is going to be playing too much of a major role in his sentence. Oh my God. Really, people, come on now. Calm down. Kelly continued. Again, other than the fact that I do think his capabilities going forward are relevant in terms of deterrence. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, Captain Obvious. Oops. See, it turns itself off. $33. Oops. Shit. Sorry. I went back too far. Ah! You ever click on the wrong thing? You guys never do that, do you? Do. Give him the book, Your Honor. Throw the book at him. What's the book? Does anybody know where that comes from? Where does that come from? Tario has on many occasions before today no remorse. He took credit for 1-6, and then when someone asked what was next, Tario said, we do it again. That weighs on Kelly's concerns for deterrence. No shit. Yeah. Okay, life it is. I'm sorry. That's funny. Ben's going 18 to 20. Sorry, I'll come back and check the chat. I'm very sorry. Serve them like fucking McDonald's. Oh my God. They rename India as Bharat in special session. Really? That's interesting. Isn't Bharat a district? I thought Bharat was a district. I hope it's hardcover too. Yeah, it's probably going to leave a mark. Okay, wait. I got to focus. I have a job to do. I've got clicking to do. Okay, people, don't deter my clicking. It sounds like Tario's about to find out. Indeed, sir. Doodly doo, doodly doo, doodly 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 doo, doodly doo. I think I'll probably end after this verdict because I had to run a couple errands that I really was supposed to do today. Didn't do them. So, but I do want to kind of close the books on Enrique's freedom. Over under 21 years. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, sorry. Mistake. Mistake. Oops. God. Stop it. Stop it. Do it right. K-A like the ka, like the wind. 22 years is the guess. Okay. All right. There we go. In re DC offenses Tario taunted law enforcement, posting memes saying he'd do it again. And Kelly notes that crime, while serious, was nowhere near as serious as this one. Kelly on Tario comparing Dominic Pizzola to George Washington. Kelly, where to begin? The man who helped encourage the notion of a peaceful order of transferring power from one to the next by relinquishing power. That's right. George Washington said, no, you got to choose someone else. I'm not going to be your president forever. It's ballsy. No, Dominic Pizzola did not only not an apt comparison, but it slanders the father of our country to speak that way. That's another comment that shows the need for deterrence. Kelly's going to hammer him. How old is Enrique? I'm guessing 16, but hoping for 30. Hi, Pepper. Come on, Judge never gets to the point. I went for 25. Book of Laws. Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know what the background is of that, but we'll find out. I'll look for it. Okay, come on now. Tario and his family members have spoken here today, and he will address that, Kelly says. Kelly also notes how defendants have said they won't be involved in politics, but he notes it's a non sequitur to talk about not engaging in politics anymore. Well, okay, that's a little commentary, but okay. Something went wrong. What the fuck? What? Oh. Have I reached the end of Twitter? That's kind of odd. Okay, fine. Oh my God, what the fuck's going on? Why won't it let me to the most recent? Okay. I don't have any indication that Tario is remorseful for the actual things he was convicted of, which is seditious conspiracy and a conspiracy to obstruct the election. I'm going to be real mad if this fucks up. I'm glad for Mr. Tario's statement here today, but I got to say, I'm glad he's sorry for what happened to law enforcement officers that day. But again, I think we're talking a little past each other in many ways because he doesn't have any indication that he's remorseful. Yeah. Tario's fiance walks past him. Ooh. Oh my God. Okay. Oh! Oh! What the fuck? Where's my brandy buckling? Oh. Okay. Government is asking for 33 years of incarceration, and I've looked closely at most of the types of cases in which courts have handed out cases or sentences like that. And they really are akin to blowing up like buildings and trainings to go on battlefield to shoot at U.S. troops. Well, so there you go. He's not going to get that. But Kelly says he doesn't think Tario had intent to kill, and the application of the terrorism enhancement overstates Tario's intent and chosen means, though he says he isn't trying to minimize the violence of that day. Whatever. Kelly, you try to weigh what January 6th costs us. It's hard. These are difficult comparisons to make. While I think a serious sentence is not appropriate. What? While I think a serious sentence is not appropriate, I'm not going to go as high as the government asked here. Okay. As the government asked here, and I've considered the sentences of oath keepers. Oh boy. I think the firearms conduct does weigh seriously in those issues. I do think the sheer number of people here and how they breached weighs on the other side. There's that tools of the conspiracy argument. Well, there you go. There you go. What is the price of democracy? I've also looked at J6 sentences across the board, and I don't know what numbers are, but obviously a case like this seditious conspiracy is an outlier. Yeah. Okay, so you're not going to have a fucking... Oh, God. I can't. Bitches! Bitches get stitches! Oh, all you're saying, give peace a chance. Kelly notes how in past he sentenced some January 6 defendants to no jail time. He argues you must look at everything to make the assessment on the individual sentence, plus the guidelines. That's not happy. That person is not happy. Ooh, we are saints. Give peace a chance. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay. Let's see. Come on, Brandy. Government requested 33 years with 17 years of supervised probation. Tario wanted no more than 15 years in prison. Now Tario's counsel approaches and Tario too. Tario grabs the podium. Now Henry, 22 years! 36 months supervised release. That's pretty good. That's not bad. Yeah, probably was autocorrect, right? 22 years. 22 years. Well, Enrique, you're gonna have a lot of time to think about it. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it is what it is, right? It doesn't matter what I think or any of us think. But that's what it is. That's what it is. That's all it is. That's what it is, my friends. Seems like an awfully short supervision period, doesn't it? It really does. That's a good point. But then I think someone mentioned that he wants to not be overturned. I know, J31C, 22 years. I do wonder if he, how old is he? What is he, like 40 or something? Oh, he's going to be pretty young when he gets, well, not that old. How old is he now? Well, maybe he's 50. They let the fucking shaman out way earlier than the 5 years. Yeah, you're right. It's not impressive. What is 38 to 39, Karen? What does that mean? Oh, you mean months of supervised blah, blah, blah? Because that's only what? That's 3 years, basically. I mean, that's not very good. I don't think. Oh, his age, 38 to 39. Sorry, Karen, I'm so dumb. Yeah, 19 inside and 3 years supervised. So 20, let's say 20 years. Yeah, no, he's going to be in fighting shape. I just really hope that these guys are separated. That's all. I mean, there's people to replace them. So let's not fool ourselves too much, although that doesn't mean that justice shouldn't happen. It absolutely 100% should. It's not enough. I mean, but we're going to get there. I think we're going to get there. I also think, the laws don't necessarily do the best job of representing how to hold people accountable for these types of actions, because we never thought, I guess, that these types of actions necessarily could happen. And then you add in political will or the lack thereof. I hope the people Tucker tells them will replace them will wind up replacing them. They will, and it will be wonderful. And those people will just have to shut the fuck up. I did have really low expectations with Kelly Pepper. You're right. And this was actually higher because I thought it was going to be like the 15 years or 16, maybe just one more than he asked for. But 22, he split the difference, basically. Kind of, sort of. Not really. Yeah, he did actually. Kind of, sort of. Not really. Anyway, well, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a judge. I can't second guess too much. Yeah, 22 years inside, followed by 36 months. Supervised release. Yeah, well, no, I'm judging, and also judging by the comments. It's not like that increases my confidence a lot. So there's that. I don't know. All right. Well, thanks for spending the entire day, if you did, or if you had me open on a tab. I so appreciate that. You don't know. I mean, it really does mean a lot to me. So thank you so much. I will see you tomorrow. I will, very early in the morning, to start watching the Parade of Idiots in Atlanta. So join me for that. And we'll probably check in on Mr. Paxton at one point and see what he's doing. But frankly, they're not really doing a good job of holding our attention. I'm going to be honest. So we may need to go to something else. But anyway, I will see you tomorrow morning, or hopefully I will see you tomorrow morning. Wait a minute. Jim's got a joke for us. What's the difference between a horny toad and a frog? A frog says ribbit, ribbit, and a horny toad says rub it, rub it. That's funny. Ugh. All right, here we go. Have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. Have a wonderful, and then I'll be up early in the morning. I wouldn't want to spend 22 days in prison. That's right. I love you guys too. Have a great one. Bye. I love you too.